that was a whole bunch of Moog synths in that track. You could probably hear the creaminess of that ladder filter in that. Yeah. Nice to have you, Chob. No one else is here. It is a bit early. We're streaming a bit early. So hello to everybody who is watching. There's only a couple of people according to my YouTube thing, but that's okay because it's not even the scheduled start time yet. We're 3 minutes early according to my clock. Yeah. It's Christmassy.
Yeah.
It's Christmassy. What was I going to show you? So the graphic that I did for the stream this week is actually, you know that DALL-E, the AI thing that does all the sort of artificial intelligent type graphics. So I told it
to. Number out there, isn't there?
I told it to do a Christmas tree and synths and synthesizers. Synthesizers. And yeah, and it gave me heaps of them. And I just thought, wow, it's going to give me heaps of them. I'll do heaps of them. And they're all AI generated graphics from that DALL-E. Saves me having to make something. It's not a bad job. It's not a bad job. Anyway.
Not bad.
Oh, like if you zoom in on it, it's really crunchy and vectory. Yeah. So yeah, not the best thing. Now, a couple of people are arriving in chat. Future World Machines, Keith in Watford, Neil Wharton, and Martin Taylor. So let us know if you can hear us. According to the stream last week was silent for the first minute while I worked out that I'd accidentally pressed the master mute button on my controller here, which I didn't even know I had. It doesn't light up on my APC Mini here. It doesn't even light up, and I've accidentally pressed it. And I'm talking away, and no one can hear me. But that was last week. Cliff is there. So let's see if we can get the chatties up. I think it's that button. Oh wow, the chatties are working. That's always a good sign. That's cool. Should be able to see those nicely. Steve Ward's there. Good day, he says. Awesome. Now, 1 minute to go before technically everyone should start mangling on in. I do advertise the show to start at 1 p.m. UK time. So, you know, people sometimes like to go by what the graphic says, maybe not by what YouTube says. So, in a way, this 15 minutes is a bit of preamble, I guess. We can just muck around. Culture of Ghosts, big hello to you. Wagoo as well. What is a show without Wagoo, hey?
No show is complete without.
No show is complete without Daniel, that's for sure. Big hello to Daniel. He's, I don't know, he spends a lot of time on YouTube. It's not a bad thing, but I reckon he's got 6 keyboards and 6 arms, and I reckon he works and watches YouTube at the same time. Wayne Murray, big hello to you as you're popping in. Now, if Kent comes on, sing out everyone, because I need to make him a moderator because he's subscribed under the channel membership moderator. I don't know if he really wants the the role. Let's have a look. Anyone else coming into... So StreamYard, people. StreamYard is available. If I got the link ready to go, I will paste the StreamYard link. If anyone wants to join into StreamYard, I've got 4 spots left. Anyone who has a webcam and a mic, you can join in. You don't have to be on the whole show for the whole time. You can come in and leave, whatever you want to do. StreamYard's there. That's what Chob's done. So if I go like this, and then I press this button, there's Inverted Popes. If you guys wondering what he looks like, now you know. Actually, that's his alter ego.
Yeah, the real me's outside, cowering.
Beautiful. I won't do that for too long because it's a bit freaky for Chob because he's seeing himself. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'll just keep an eye. If you do jump into StreamYard, let me know in the chat that you've jumped in, and I will add you in because I actually manually have to add you in, which is a bit of a pain, but I understand why they've got that because you just don't want... Could be any straggler, couldn't they? And some script kiddie come in and swearing on the show or something. Who knows? Who knows what could happen in the internet, right? Okay, now, I got a bit of mailbag. You guys want to see some mailbag? I reckon some mailbag would be good. No, oh, by the way, Chris has joined us. Sing out, Chris. No, he hasn't. He has joined us, but he's connected and reconnected. So there he's there in frozen in time. So Chris is probably getting his camera sorted out. Why don't we do a bit of mailbag? Because I mentioned to you guys last week that I was going to get a couple of modules in used modules. These aren't brand new in the post and during the week, and they did arrive, and I was actually really, really happy. One of them, I do post this stuff on Discord, so anyone who's on Discord will already know what these are. But for you guys who don't hang around on Discord, let's go and have a little look-see. Now, what camera have I got set up? This is going to be the question, isn't it? This one will probably need to be the one. First one I've got is this baby here, the Doepfer A143-4. It's a quad VCO. Yes, it is an LFO as well. So this is part B of my nifty keys 4-voice polyphonic synth in eurorack land setup. Now I can't demonstrate this today. I will soon though, because I don't have a quad VCF module to go with it. So all I need is a quad. I've got a quad VCA. I've got quad VCO. All I need now is a quad VCF. But while we've got it here, let's just have a look at a couple of things that I like about this. So it is really deep though. So that's going to be a concern. That's quite a deep module. Even considering like some of these things sticking out the back here. Like here. It's quite deep. I don't know what that is. I'll have to measure it. I'll measure it for you guys in a minute, see what it is. One guy on was it Mod Wigglers said you can actually unmount this second PCB, and if you look in there, just it's really hard to do this on camera because everything I'm doing is kind of in reverse. Go back that way. You can see these little ribbon cables. There's 3 of them on the other side. There you go. 2 there. I'm doing the cuckoo noises now, and 1 there. And if you make them longer, you can unmount this whole thing and have that sitting somewhere else in your case if you've got a shallow case. So that is, I guess that's an option. Anyway, so it's a pretty basic VCO. It only does square and triangle, and I guess you could manipulate a sine if you had a filter, and I guess you can do pulse width modulation on. I have actually read up on this, so you can do things like syncing and stuff like that. And there's also one thing I like about it too is it has a common voltage per octave input. So if you want to just have this thing fire off all 4 voices with just one, that's really cool. Or if you've got independent voices, you can come in through here. So I like that. And it also has a common output too. So you don't have to send all of these out individually. You can just paraphonically send them out into one VCF. I probably could do that. I probably could do that right now. But yeah, keeping an eye on this on StreamYard. Let us know if you want to jump into StreamYard. I'll keep posting the link.
Robbie's knocking on the door, I think.
Robbie's knocking on the door. Robbie, what is he saying in chat? Is he?
There he is.
He's there. There we go. He's working. Now, Chris, he's having a strange technical problems with the vMix. Apologies. Yeah, that's okay. Restart if you need to. Robbie's probably just restarting as well. Look, it's okay. It's still a couple of minutes before the main show starts anyway, so we're good. If you do want to join in on StreamYard, the link is in the chat window now. And just let us know. Jump in and let us know. Robbie, you can hear me?
I can hear you. I just need to adjust my audio. Bear with.
Your audio's good, though. And he's had to restart, and that's why he's frozen in time. But we'll check all those out. There should be Darren, and there should be Chris, makeshifter. My vmix keeps freezing. I disconnect and reconnect. Lasts about 10 seconds. Ooh, that's not good. Let me just see if Chris wants to come in via... Where is he? Where is he? I'll bring Chris in via StreamYard. There we go. Here comes Robbie. Here comes Robbie. And if Chris is going to come in via StreamYard, I'll probably have to add him in there. Technical stuff, people. Anyway, so we're setting up for the show. As you guys know, this is the pre-show. We don't really technically start until on the hour. Hello, Chris is trying again. There he is. And you freeze. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Right. I know what's going on, Chris. You are getting knocked off by Robbie. So,
my hands have been here the whole time.
No, you're fine. You're not doing anything wrong. You need to use the password I gave in the email. There we go. Sorry, I've just got to... let me see if I can just quickly fix Chris up because he needs my help. Just 1 second. Yeah, it's better if he doesn't come on via StreamYard because we get him on as a guest here. Robbie, how you going, mate? You good?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, mate, it's nice to have you, actually. Really, really nice. Let me just get Chris's password. That one. Okay, so hopefully that will sort Chris out. And then he'll come on to a different screen. Hopefully he comes on. There! That should keep you on, mate.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you were just using the other password, so you were knocking... Robbie was knocking you off and he was knocking you. So I think you're good there. Chob's in the StreamYard, so we're good there. I might, Chob, I might put you full screen because then it looks nice.
Thank you.
Ish.
So that's what inverted popes looks like.
Hey, we can even do this.
I honestly don't think I've ever seen you before, mate.
There you go.
No, you'd have to go a long way back in the shows. I think I appeared
He stays hidden.
2 years ago. You'd have to go a long way back in the shows. I think I appeared.
He stays hidden.
Darren's just setting up his audio, so if you can hear everything coming back, it's probably Darren.
God, I'm dark in here.
You are. Turn your light on. You know, candles or what do you need?
Candles. I've run out of candles. I haven't even got 4.
It's grim up north.
Now,
Sorry.
it's not quite 5 a.m. yet, so Andy Synthetic, we'll just leave a little black square for him because he will pop in once his alarm goes off.
No excuse.
Oh, it is. It is. It is absolutely an excuse. Anyway, let's just try the cameras now. So we'll start off. I've actually fixed up the StreamYard buttons now. So we'll start off. If I press this button, we should get full screen StreamYard, and we've got inverted popes, everyone. So you guys probably know him from the chat, and here is his face. Here's his face.
And there it is. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Nice to be here.
It's awesome to have you, mate. And for those who don't know, Chob's been on the show before, so it's just been a while since we've had him back, and he's a busy lad. But he makes awesome music, so you should check out his YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chat, but with a terrible internet connection. That's what the problem used to be.
Yeah, and probably some of that is probably because you were dialing into Australia, I would say. So this StreamYard thing seems to be a little bit better for those sort of things because you're going into a common place. You know, servers in the US, UK, wherever they are, as opposed to coming all the way down here, where internet is delivered via kangaroo here in Australia. It hops about. What other buttons have we got? We've got Robbie's come in again this week, and it's awesome to have him back. We're honoured to have you on the show, mate. It's nice to have you here.
Oh, don't be silly. Well, congratulations on spelling the name right because not many people do.
Oh, really? Did I get it right?
Well,
I usually
yeah.
bugger up names.
No. Good on you.
Fantastic. So nice to have you. We'll talk about the sample track a little bit, even though we did a massive show on it last week. There's some more news to come out about that. So we'll definitely have a chat about that. I'm going to see if this button works to see if Chris is in and his title works. Yes, nice to have you, Chris.
G'day, mate. How you going?
Yes, good. Very good.
Excellent. We all feeling suitably festive?
Nope.
Oh no. Is that
I hate Christmas.
The stress. I find the stress levels tend to sort of go up to 10 to 11 during December, and then there's this sudden release around about the 24th of December, when finally you can't do any more stressing.
Just when you said release there was a little pop sound. Does everyone hear that?
Who did the sound effects? That was brilliant.
That was brilliant. Good timing.
Yes. Excellent work. Somebody's got a button.
I find more 2nd of January.
I don't get any release.
Ooh, yeah.
It's just continuous for me. It's nice to have you, Chris.
Cheers, mate.
We'll definitely come back and pick your brains with some stuff a little bit later. Andy's not quite in yet, so we won't press his button. But Darren's here. After you've had a holiday, mate, haven't you? I mean, it's been weeks. It's been weeks since you've been on the show. You've actually managed to turn your light on.
It's been one.
It's an improvement.
Similar, and it still looked a bit blurred. Well, are you sure?
Maybe you need to wipe your camera, or I don't know. Has the purple man mucked around with the camera? I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, that's made it worse. You've now been beamed up by some UFO. Some UFOs are going to trying to zip you up.
God. Yeah. It's that dark up here. That's why we're up north. It's dark. It's cold. It's snowy. It's God knows what.
It's nice to have you anyway, mate. No matter
I've
what the situation is.
got 4 candles there trying to heat me up.
Have you tried the terracotta tile trick? The tea candle and terracotta tile trick. God, social media is stupid, isn't it? I mean, just buy a friggin' heater. Tea candles and terracotta.
I've actually got a light out.
He looks like he's been hit by laser beams at the moment. That's for sure.
He does.
Which one's that?
You're getting a lens flare there, mate.
We have another person who's just jumped into StreamYard. And that's Steve.
That was the beat.
Big, awesome Steve. Now, we're going to put Steve up front because I want to say hello to Steve. And we'll do
How are you doing? You all right?
And then we'll go like this. Hey, Steve. How you going, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm back home now.
Oh, that's right. Because you were in
I'm feeling
South America or something, weren't you, if I remember rightly?
Yeah. I was just working out there for a bit.
Beautiful. And I love what's above your head there. That's an awesome synth, that one. The Radius.
Radius, yeah.
Yeah. Do you still use that a fair bit?
I've only just really got this music room back up because it was all in storage for a while I had the house rewired. So I've only just got it all out, and I sort of started doing the modular stuff. So I had something to mess about with, but I'm a bit deep into that right now.
That's good, mate. Well, you're back. You're back in the hood, and it's nice to have you on. So do stick around. What I'll do is you'll notice that you're looking at yourself. This is just a little bit of education for you because StreamYard's kind of a bit of a funny beast for me. So I will go to this view to show everyone, and then when I do this, you'll see everyone else. So it's just basically what you're seeing is what the stream is seeing. Okay. So if they're seeing you and you're seeing yourself, that's exactly what's happening. But yeah, it's awesome. It's all working beautifully. Okay, and we're just waiting on, as I said, Synth. He's coming in a sec. I will post that link in for StreamYard. I think Henrik wants to join in on StreamYard as well. Let me just get the link. I've just lost it. Here it is. If anyone wants to join in, there's a couple of spots left. I think the maximum's 5 that we can squeeze in on that on the free account. I'm not paying them any money. Not yet, anyway. I pay so much money as it is. Anyway. What have we got to do? We've got to probably press a few buttons. Who wants to start the show? Let's go. Boodum. Go for it. Well, you've reached another Saturday, and it happens to be almost at the end of the year. So well done. Give yourself a pat on the back for making it this far. A couple of weeks' time, you'll probably be sitting around a Christmas tree, or maybe not. Up to you. But anyway, just to let you guys know, there's a few announcements to make. Synth Geekery is the show you're watching. If you're wondering, if you're new here, big welcome to you. Episode 189. So if you are new here, you've got a fair bit to catch up on. But maybe not. It might be a bit boring. Anyway, so what we do is we talk about synthesizers and drum machines, sequencers, samplers, music tech. We may even share a few jokes. And we're streaming from all over the world. There's people from all over the world in the show. Why don't we say a quick hello, just generally hello to everyone who's in there. We've got our video callers waving at you. We've got Darren up the top next to me, Chris below me, Robbie next to Chris, and then we've got our StreamYarders, who are the awesome people in this window down here. And if you are interested in joining us on StreamYard, there's a few spots left. I'll keep spamming the chat with the StreamYard link, only because people come in at various times. You just have to understand. If you've been watching from the start and you go, why does he keep posting that StreamYard link? It's because people join YouTube channels at any random time. Everyone should know that. Right, now, the other awesome people that are here are these people, the chatties. And it's so good. It's so nice to have you guys. Festive greetings to everyone, by the way, because we won't be doing a Christmas show next week because it is Christmas Eve on the Saturday, and I am going to have my work cut out for me on Christmas Eve because we've got the whole family over the next day on the actual Christmas day, and we're just going to be busy doing all sorts of stuff. So yeah, no show on Christmas Eve. But so it should be that way anyway. Big hello to the chatties. Future World Machines, one of our channel members. It's nice to have you. Neil Wharton, Martin Taylor, Heathcliff, Steve Ward is in StreamYard, which is nice. We got Wagoo. Big hello to Daniel. Culture of Ghost. Big hello to you, mate. And I keep forgetting who I've said hello to. Half God, Half Beast is there. Big hello to you. Universal Vibe, I think was the first in chat today. So you get the Guernsey of being first. That's a nice thing. M Block, good morning and happy holidays to all of you, says M Block. And same to you, mate. Nice to have you. Alexandros Roussos, he says, hi everyone. Big hello to you. Who else we got? Quickly get through this. Some guy called Failed Muso. We know who he is. If you are wondering, that is Robbie, by the way. He has alter egos. Lady Aptitude, big hello to you. Nice to have you again. Now my eyesight is terrible. Is it CMKMNKY? I don't even know how to pronounce that, but however you say that, big hand clap to you as well. Big Jim's there. Big hello to Jim. Jim Glue's there. Where are we up to? God, it's scrolling, guys. I think Andy Synthetics has joined us, but his camera's not on just yet. He'll be on in a sec. Just hold on to everything, people. He's going to be here, the star of the show. AD Vision is there. Big hello to you. Asking questions already. Why don't we highlight his question, hey? We've never done this. Question without notice. Let's do questions without notice. Ready? I'm going to hit this button, and then I'm going to hit this button. AD Vision says, what do you guys think of the Modal Argon 8? Hands up who has an Argon 8. So there's two of us.
Just
and
me
I'm
and
just
Dave.
checking StreamYard. Yep, there's just two of us. All right,
Just
Robbie.
the two of you.
Robbie is... God, I've got to remember what button he is. You're that button. Robbie, what do you think of the Modal Argon 8?
I love it. It's great. It's a cracking little synth. I've always had a passion for digital, as many people know, and the PPG was one of those things. But of course, if you want one of those nowadays, it ain't cheap. So when this came out, it was like, oh, that's nice. And they've taken it, and you can get some really nice PPG style stuff out of it, and then some, because obviously it's got lots more going for it, and it's a lot more reliable and a lot more compact, and much cheaper. I love it. I think it's great. I think actually all of the modal stuff is fantastic. They make some great stuff. Really looking forward to what they come out with next. So,
Indeed.
but yeah, love the Argon 8. Love the
Indeed.
Argon 8.
One of the things I like about, and it's not just the Argon 8 that's like this. You've got a couple of options. You can get the desktop module, you can get a little mini key version, and you can get a full size key version. So it kind of caters for everyone. Like if you've got a small apartment and you need space, you could just get the desktop module and just use your MIDI controller, which is what I use. And the desktop module was completely the same synth engine as the other versions, just so you know. Save a few bucks too while you're doing that. They keep updating the firmware on it too, which is amazing. And every time they update the firmware,
and it's not just bug fixes, is it?
It's not bug fixes. It's awesome new stuff. It's like little Christmas presents. It's brilliant. Yeah. So I completely agree with Robbie. It's a great synth, and I don't think you can go wrong with that price either. So if you compare a digital wavetable / particle type sort of synth, that sort of stuff, to the others that are out there for a similar price, it's very, very good value for money. I know it's probably not a Hydra synth at that level. It's probably not a Waldorf or anything like that. But they are high end. They're a higher end of synth. So if you want that sort of level, you've got to pay for it. This probably delivers a lot of stuff for its money. Anyway, okay. So hopefully that answers your question.
Incredibly well built as well. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay. So we're going to get into the show. Now, I always forget what button to press. So who wants to tell me what is the first segment? Anyone?
Funny side?
Funny side.
Yes.
Good job. It's only been doing it for nearly 4 years. I hope it's a synth, says this person who...
dear.
That you could say some say it's Elf on a Shelf, others say it's Elf on a Loop. Right. What else have we got? I hope it's another synth. This is
Hope springs eternal.
This is very, very big disappointment for whoever's waiting for that. Although a Treadly might be all right. Okay, let's get into the fit. Now, I have recycled some of these from previous Christmas shows, and there's a reason for it, because it is our Christmas show. So this was one good use of your patch cables to make a Christmas tree looking festive for the modular people.
Best use.
Yeah.
Now.
The only problem with it is there's not enough control voltage. Next one.
There's not enough voltage, period.
Great to see Mary on keyboard and Joseph on vocals on this year's Christmas stamp.
Very good.
For those who have been watching this show for the last nearly 4 years, will probably go, "Oh, not these again." Yep, these again. Because it is Christmas.
It's new to some of us.
It grows every year. What about Aretha Franklin's? Yes. People see Christmas trees. I see kick samples.
Yeah.
I mean, these are oldies and goodies. Yeah. Cats and boots and boots and boots and cats and boots.
Yeah, boots and cats.
I told Santa she wants a T-ball for Christmas.
Oh, no.
We have a winner already.
Yes.
Yeah.
I left a good one for last. All right. What was your favourite?
That's taking
It's
sibling
got to be the
around.
last one.
Last one?
Got to be the last
to be.
one. Yeah.
StreamYardies.
Yeah.
Last one. You agree?
Got to be the Timberwolf. Yes.
Okay. Timberwolf wins. Now, while we're talking about what was your favourite meme, I have been doing that for a bizarre reason. And early in the new year, we are going to do the best meme of 2022. So stay tuned for that, because I will go back through the 50 odd shows that I did in 2022 and work out what did we vote on each week, and we'll come up with a top one for each month, and then we'll narrow it down maybe to a top 10 or a top 12 or whatever. So that'll happen early in the new year. And there were some doozies. A lot of people will forget, and some of them really cracked a few people up. By the way, 99% of the memes aren't done by me, disclaimer, including all of those. So if you are the author of said meme, please do shout out in the comments or in the chat if you're live, and let us know, because we need to pat you on the back, especially if you're the one that did the favourite this week was the Timberwolf meme. And the chatties agreed. The chatties are saying Timberwolf as well. The two girls, says Ken Lewis. The Timber, the last one, the Timberwolf. Look at it. It's unanimous almost. Unanimous. Right. Beautiful. Okay. Well, believe it or not, even at this particular part of the year, we actually have news. Can you believe that? I can't. Do people just take holidays? What about this? I bet you... We actually needed Ian on the show this week because out pops a cool thing, and I wanted to ask him about it. But anyway, the Akai range of the APC products have released 2 new Mark II versions. And I'll just go back to us. Now, you guys know that I actually use the APC Mini to actually run the show. If I can press this button here... There it is, kind of in the corner there, running the show. So I don't want to lift it up anymore because I don't want to unplug it. But the APC stuff is actually really cool, and so you don't just have to use it if you're a person that has Ableton. It's really cool for that. If you're a person that has vMix like me, you can use it for that. You can actually use it for a lot of things. It's not just stuck with Ableton. Now. Let me get the video lined up. There's 2 products we want to show you. We're going to show one at a time because it's easier that way. The first one, I believe, is this one.
Now to navigate, simply hold down Shift, and we can now use our cursors. So we can scroll up and down.
So when you're looking at this, you can see you can see that he's got the Ableton window. So this is really mainly aimed at people who have an Ableton DAW. However, it's not 100%, like I said before. You can use it as a pad controller. Now, just a few things to mention. There is a bit of a difference between this and the previous one. There's a couple of new features. The note and drum features. You'll see just above his right hand, there's a note and drum button. And they access the note and drum features within Ableton. The pads themselves are now full RGB colors. So they do mimic the colors of the clips that are in your Ableton session view, which is handy. Whereas the previous version, they were just green, red, and yellow, I think, were the only 3 colors that they had. Still no velocity on the pads, so for those people who are thinking that's a game changer, well, it's the same. But just remember, this is a $99 US product, so it's a no-brainer for some people. Now, before we go on to the next one, does anyone here other than me have an APC Mini? Nope. Okay, so are you guys probably? I know, Darren, you're Ableton, so I don't need to ask you. Anyone else Ableton here? No, Robbie's not.
Okay, thanks.
No.
Okay, so out of these people here, Darren would probably be the only target person for this particular product. But the cool thing about
because of the flashing lights.
Yeah, but the problem is if you plug that in without Ableton, it won't light up. So Ableton has like a little sort of special bit of code that it sends that product. However, if you have vMix, it will. But then we're talking a different story. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one is this one, the APC Key 25. Now, the APC Key 25 is another upgrade to the APC Key. It's a very, very small keyboard controller. A couple of things. If you've seen the old one, I haven't actually got a photo of the old one. I can't be bothered putting it up. It's not really any point. But this actually looks a lot nicer than the old one. RGB pads. They're not velocity, unfortunately. But it is a $99 product again. However, they've got new knobs on it. The knobs are endless encoders this time, which is actually a nice thing. And they have improved the velocity on the key bed. It's still not. It's not a FATAR or anything. Don't expect this thing to be amazing or anything. Now, this video is. I'm not going to play it because it is. It's Siv's video loop hop, and I'll definitely get a copyright claim if I play it. But I just want to give him a shout out. He does amazing reviews. This guy. He's got the gift. I think we can all agree. He has taken these two very quite niche products and gone through the ringer with them, and he gives pros and cons. He really shows them off. So do check out the loop hop video on the two if you're interested in that. And we'll go. They're both $99. Anyone want to make a comment on the Akai APC Mk2 range? Who wants to start?
Well, I'll just say they look like a nice evolution of the original product. I'm not an Ableton user, but I have been meaning to get into it. And for $99 US, pretty lights, but it's a lot to like. So
I believe,
Chris,
I believe they come with an Ableton Lite edition as well.
Yeah, and I've got that already because I think I got it with something else. And it's one of those things where I've been meaning, I've installed it and I know I should be getting a bit more into it, but I'm still, being dragged kicking and stringing from my current DAW to the future. So, but, I get the whole, it's a nice evolution because I'm starting to look a lot sort of sleeker now, I think. So yeah, that's the only comment I have.
They definitely have the Akai look, the red and the black. And the previous ones didn't have the red on them, so red makes it go faster apparently.
I think it makes it look more pro.
It does,
it's kind of like Akai Pro colors.
Yeah, it does. It is an Akai. It's their branding. I will mention that I've had my APC Mini for many years before I even started doing my show. So it'd probably be close to 5 years old. And I used to use it for Ableton before this. So it still works. There's no buttons that have failed on it or anything. I'm pressing it every week on this show. So it is a relatively good product for its value. So yeah, anyway, that is that. Anyone else want to make a comment on the APC? What about StreamYarders? You guys want to make a quick comment about the APC Mini? You can say nope, next.
No.
Yes.
No, mate.
All right, good.
I've always had problems with it. I mean, I've thought about it many times, but it's how does it fit into my workflow? And that's always an issue I have. Moving between hardware and software and a device in the middle. I mean, I have got, you can't see it, you can just see there, the Push 2,
Right.
which I use with Bitwig.
Yep.
Which is great. But I keep flitting in and out of those two worlds, so I always have a problem. I just want to stay in the hardware world sometimes, and then other times I run into the door, and anything in the middle, I have a bit of a problem with.
Yeah, I think that's synonymous of the hardware world, pretty much. To a T, isn't it, guys? So, you can sort of get lost in that computer world when you're mucking around with VSTs and playing around with your DAWs, and before you know it, you're just mouse clicking all day long. And I know Inverted Popes, you work in the IT field, so that's probably the last thing you want to do when you're creating, right? You probably don't really want to be playing with the computer because you do it for work. So, yeah, I get you.
I was going to get an APC 40, but I never did. I like these kind of controllers, though. So.
Yeah, the APC 40, Andy, is the higher end one, isn't it? It's more kind of heading towards a push, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a Force user, so that's about as fancy as I get right now. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was what I was going to mention to Inverted Popes, is the Akai Force could be that bridge between the hardware and the software, because it does behave a bit like Ableton, right? And you've got one too, Andy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a vertical clip launching view kind of deal.
Yeah. So. It's I can't remember how much they are. They tend to be a little bit cheaper now than what they originally went for, but that may
be. By the way,
be.
if you want to see some pretty amazing workflow for the Force that almost no one uses, watch that guy Nick Trakakis. He used to work for Akai, and he still has a YouTube channel, and he's doing a lot of performative stuff with it now. He basically made it a performative instrument, where he's mastered this technique he came up with for all kinds of like special mapping and using the arpeggiator a certain way for rhythms. And it's pretty kick-ass what he's doing. He's doing like live sets with a force,
Yes.
where he's playing the stuff live too.
Is he the guy that has the two forces?
I think he did during the demos when he worked for Akai, but right now he just has one force and one
Right.
Machina Plus.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
he's it's pretty phenomenal. You see a lot of force demos that are cool, but kind of same boring. And he's made it a whole instrument. He's like spent a bunch of time learning how to get like live rhythms out of it, really interestingly, and bringing in layers with knobs. He's mapped the knobs a certain way, and he's using knobs as expressions. So not just as a filter, but he's like doing like live portamento and other kinds of weird stuff. So
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive. Watch his channel, Nick Trakakis. He's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, for me, just to sort of add to the Akai APC range that we were just talking about, I kind of feel like it'd be nice if it wasn't just Ableton. So, and we did mention the
Yeah, I
Force.
agree with that.
Wouldn't it be cool if those things worked the same for Akai Force? So you've now got a second controller that would work and light up with all the colors and everything that's set up in your Force. Because as you guys know, with the workflow with the Force, you've got different screens. And when you're off on a different screen, even though Force has the pads and the screen can be disparate, like you can have a different thing on the screen as on the pads, but even still you can have a third controller, and the APC Mini products would actually be really cool for that. So Akai, if you're watching,
That would be good. That.
do that. Make it so it works on your Force, and I think you'll sell more of them. Because, like I said, it is a niche product, right? If you don't have a DAW called Ableton, who is going to buy that? Probably the odd vMix user, maybe.
Well, if you want a controller for something like vMix or other streaming platforms are available, Stream Deck does. You might as well buy one of those, because then it's even better because you can customize the buttons. But then I don't know. I mean, I'm not a live user. Every time I think about Ableton Live, I think I really ought to get this. This really should be for me. But every time I try it, it's just like, no, it doesn't work for me in my head. So, but these are nice little portable things. They're no bigger than a laptop or anything like. You just chuck it in a bag and do some stuff on the move, or if you're just sort of moving around from EMOM to EMOM, or live event to live event, I'm sure they're incredibly useful. But yeah, I think if they could broaden the use of these things, it would make them a little bit
You
more
would
appealing.
think
But,
they'd make
like
it
I say,
useful to actually use with their own Akai stuff, even if it's for nothing else.
Yeah.
Or you've just got Akai stuff.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
Ableton. You'd think they'd do it just for that.
Yeah. With the NPCs even, that'd be useful too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just sort of makes sense in a way.
Hey, what happened? Darren has his light on.
Yeah, we were nagging him about it.
Hey, I put 50p in the
Twisting his
meter. It's only going to last about an hour.
Well, this hat's actually helping. It's actually freezing here because my heater's not working. So it's going along with the theme of winter, because we usually get pretty mild winters here.
There you go.
And
I'll
since
put my
I
hat on.
already got it ready,
It's been minus 8 for last
Merry
week.
Synthmas.
Show us your bells.
I'll fire up the
Merry
DXs.
Synthmas.
Wow, that's pretty analog, that one.
I apologise in advance for this.
I am going to sweat
Long
like the
party.
proverbial with this hat on, so it won't stay on for very long, let me tell you.
This one barely fits my big head. So
Next. What about this thing? The Vulcan by Hampshire Electronic Instruments. I don't really know a lot about this other than watching the YouTube video and reading an article or two on social media. But, okay, a couple of thoughts with this. What you've got here is an 8-voice analog. I shouldn't say that. I won't say analog because I'm not 100% sure it is. So let's, even though it says it on there, maybe it's hybrid. I'm not sure. Anyway, they can let us know because we've asked some questions about what type of VCOs these things are. So it says an 8-voice analog synth. It is actually an 8-voice analog synth with one oscillator. You can see it's got oscillator A and oscillator B on the left-hand side there. If you combined the two modes into 4 voices, you get 2 oscillators per voice. And there's actually a really cool feature this has got that, even if this wasn't Eurorack, may actually perk some ears from people who might think about putting this into a little case and using it as a polysynth, because it is MIDI controllable only, which is via TRS up the top, MIDI cable. Each oscillator, when it's in the dual voice mode, has its own filter, which is really cool. And I don't know how unique that is. I actually think that may be pretty unique. I mean, yeah, in Eurorack you can have separate oscillators and separate filters and you do all that sort of stuff yourself by buying separate modules. But a polysynth with each oscillator having its own filter is kind of refreshing and kind of new. And I wouldn't mind sort of seeing more about what this would mean. Looking at the modulation sources, we'll look at that in a sec. But if you're talking about the oscillators, you've got triangle, saw, square, and a hybrid triangle saw, which is that one at the bottom. And you've also got a sub-oscillator for each, which is the square oscillator. Plus, each oscillator has its own individual filter, which I mentioned before, which means that you can sync up the filter with the oscillators through oscillator sync, which might be something else that's interesting, because oscillator sync we know is kind of like a cross-mod type thing, whereas filter sync may be a different sort of timbre as well, right? Anyway, the types of oscillators aren't mentioned in the article or on the video. He does say it's an analog synth, so maybe they're VCAs. I don't know. It would be nice to know. Anyway, there's 2 EGs, both ADSRs for the filter and the VCA. There's 3 LFOs, which is nice. How many synths have got 3 LFOs? Not many. Most synths just come out with 1. So that's actually cool. And they've got triangle, square, and sine for both, for 3. And the LFOs can be assigned to all those things in the little matrix below. You can see like FM, low pass frequency, levels, VCA, pulse width mod, anyway, all that sort of stuff. They're all assignable. And what else? The MIDI is the only way to control this. So this is interesting. For Eurorack, there's very little control voltage, or there's no control voltage connectivity on this at all. So it's kind of weird. And it's literally only controlled via MIDI, and there's a single output on the top right, which is only mono. So this is kind of, yeah, it's a very interesting design. That will definitely get people going, I don't know if I like that. But maybe in the future they might be, maybe they're going to release a, what do you call it, expansion module for this to allow for control voltages and stuff like that. I don't know. Anyway, there's 99 presets. The top 50 are factory, and the rest are for user. So that's interesting. Anyway, I do have a little bit of a snippet to watch on video. If we can get the mouse to work. There we go.
Subs up. So you have 2 oscillators, 2 subs.
All right, so what I'll tell you what he's doing here, so we don't have to listen to him talk too long. He's showing the 4 voice mode. You can see it's lit up there. And when he shows the 4 voice mode, you can see they're both, there's a lot of in this video, it's like 30 minutes long, but you can see they're both on the same oscillator, but he's got different things set with this, but the filter is the same. So let's listen anyway.
So I've got a really thick sound there now. You have pulse width, the same. But what I can do now, if we want, we can turn...
This is the filter thing we're talking about.
I've oscillated B a little bit, put a little bit of resonance, and now I can control them individually. So if we have a different wave on here,
anyway, I'm going to take this hat off. It's stupid. I'm getting as sweaty as anything. I kind of feel like, wow, why did you not put CV on this thing, people? Like, seriously, that would be so cool to be able to, like, control those two oscillator filters via control voltage. And then you do have a little bit of LFO you can do on that as well. But once, the only problem with LFOs is they are usually only restricted to whatever the LFO that's on the synth will allow you to do. I can't see anywhere where the LFO is clock synced. It doesn't show you that. He doesn't say that. So there's quite a few questions to ask about this thing. But it is interesting, and it's not a big thing at the moment for Eurorack to have polyphonic modules. So what I'll do is I'll start with Andy, because I know you like this sort of stuff. I know you've definitely seen this, right, so far?
But no CV. I mean, come on. That's just MIDI's great and all, and you can use MIDI to CV. I have a bunch of converters in my rack and externally, but no CV is just kind of a crime in any kind of modular, right? I know Robbie's eyes are glazing over, but you got to have CV in a goddamn modular.
Even like
it's like they sort of went to build a desktop and then at last minute thought, oh wait a minute, it could be a Euro module.
That's what he did, I think. Yeah, it's just like, it fits the Eurorack size. Yeah. Stick it in there, and who cares about the rest? Right?
Yeah. No price on this. We don't know how much this thing's worth. Yeah. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, this one's a bit of a puzzlement, isn't it? Because it's kind of a lot of questions like, what do they mean by filter sync? Really? I've not heard of that before. So that's one question. The other thing I think of, I mean, apart from not having any CV, glaringly obvious, but the other thing they've missed a trick on is mono. I mean, when you've got independent filters on those voices, that's a screaming out for stereo panning.
Yeah, each voice going out to a separate output. Yeah, absolutely.
You think about how rich the sounds are when you've got independent signal flows on the oscillators when they pan. Dave Smith did it a lot. Sequential did it a lot. And you get that. I mean, I remember those. The polyphonic patches. Not the poly patches. The patches that have was independent portamento, and all the notes come from different places. Like the THX logo, I think it was. Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where it sounds huge, and they kind of missed a trick here, I think, by not making it stereo. I kind of would have taken some of the other whistles out and put that in.
It was Oberheim, wasn't it? The THX.
Maybe it was Oberheim, yeah. Can't remember who it was, but and that was pretty effective. So, so questions, and I think you might be right about it being digital oscillators, but we'll wait and see what they say, because it kind of feels as though there's a lot of CPU work going on under the hood. Yeah. Just because of the certain things that are sort of presented, the digital display, and it's something feels about it. Some of the omissions or choices made kind of sound like the kind of decisions you'd make if it was mostly software based. You made a design decision to use this particular CPU, but use these particular analog electronics like the filters and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I don't know much about the company, so I'm pretty much speaking out the wrong orifice. I don't know, but it does make me wonder. I'm nothing if not an obsessive speculator. I will say that much.
Well, I mean, let's just go to here for a sec. That is a module that don't focus on my face. That is a module that I recently got in. It's used, but that is a proper polyphonic VCO. And look at all the CV connectivity on that. So you've got CV inputs ×2 for each voice. So this is actually only 4 voices. So you can just imagine, I understand that module would probably be twice the size if it had CV connectivity on it. But that's fine. We'd understand it's 8-voice synth. It needs. In fact, the way I see it, he's got that single MIDI input on there, right? Maybe there's a decent MIDI implementation on it. And if that's the case, then you could probably introduce it into some expert sleeper modules like the FH2, where you can then branch out from that into CV. So there could be that avenue. And like I said, there's still information from this module that we don't know. So all the knobs on it, are they digital? Can you control them via MIDI? Do they have parameters on them and stuff like that?
Does it feel to you like there's kind of a little bit of an early release? They've got the sound,
yeah,
and they haven't quite finished the software, but it's time to bring it. It's time to show everyone. It's time to get people excited. I suspect they're busily in the background working on that kind of stuff because they would know that that's the kind of thing people are going to ask next. So I think it's just early in terms of information coming out about it. So we watch with interest.
Yeah. What type of filter is a few questions people are asking. Like, there's a whole bunch of questions on it. Is the filter digital? Is it analog? He does say analog on the cover, so you can't really. But when I picked this as a news topic, I knew we were going to get our teeth into it because of just the lack of information and the lack of features. And I don't know if you guys are with me here, but if you go watch the 30-minute video, there's not a lot better of a demo of the sound out of this. So it was pretty dry. It's not a warm sounding synth. And I hate using words like that because they're quite arbitrary, but
well, it's one of those demo things, right? It's just do a better demo.
Yeah.
It seemed very kind of like, he's someone who's very used to checking everything on the oscilloscope first and making sure it's ready to go for the demo, as opposed to using your ears. Yeah, very clinical.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it kind of didn't sound warm. I just think it kind of lacked a bit of grit and character.
Yeah.
Which of course it would if it was just you had in one setting, no modulation. Well, we don't know what it can do yet.
The three LFOs, going off to various different things. That could be interesting. He did show a little bit of that in the video too. StreamYardies, any comments from you, Inverted Popes or Steve?
Yeah, I watched that video just before the show, to be fair, and what I think is unique about this module as opposed to anything else I've seen for eurorack is the fact that you can store patches in there, which I think is quite unique. But I think it has it's got quite when you, depending on how much it is, it's competing with the likes of the Polycinematic and stuff like that, which sounds really amazing. But I think the lack of CV is a bit a shame. But I think from what I can remember from the video, it should have like 32 controllable CCs, so whether you can adjust anything, but then you'd need a separate controller anyway to do that. So
yeah. I mean, that's what I was mentioning before. If you use the FH2 from Expert Sleepers, then that is a MIDI controller in eurorack land, and it does branch out to 4 ins and 8 outs, which is and you also can get expansion modules for it as well. And then you can go into your it uses like a web-based MIDI config thing, and you can go in and then you can say to it, hey, I want this particular CV to control this particular MIDI CC. And so you could have that module sitting next to it. Yeah. But as a manufacturer, they should make a breakout module for it, where, like a little matrix module or something. Anyway.
I mean, there's plenty of space on the side for lots of patch points where they've got all the Vulcan logo and everything. So
yeah, let's just have a quick look at that, because that is a good point. There's a massive amount of space there, isn't there? Yeah. You got to put the Vulcan logo right down the bottom.
That's what makes me think about. Sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say one thing about it being MIDI only. I mean, I love MIDI like anyone else does. In fact, to coin a phrase the guy said a long time ago, or at least a term, I'm a MIDiot. So
yeah.
But recently with my KeyStep Pro problems, I had to use MIDI to CV to solve a problem on my eurorack because the CV gate on KeyStep is notoriously bad. KeyStep Pro. And it's a known problem on the forums and stuff, especially with the later updates. So I don't mind using MIDI with eurorack, and I'm getting talked back.
Yeah, I'm getting talked back as well.
Yeah.
But I don't mind using it that way. But to be forced to use it and not have the CV option, or at least modulation options via CV, is just really silly, I think.
That's gone now. Good. Yeah, I completely agree. And Chris, you were going to say something too?
I was just going to say, well, I'm getting the echo now too. I was just going to say that with the blank panel space on the right-hand side, I don't know. Again, I'm speculating. Have they run out of I/O lines on their CPU? Maybe they would love to have put CV on, but they've literally used them all to read all of those switches and knobs, and they've gone, oh, bugger, we've run out. We'll see.
Yeah.
Or maybe they put too much under the panel. They have no room for jacks. There's stuff underneath there.
Yeah, it's probably all electronics.
It could have a power supply or electronics or something.
Yeah.
That kind of feeds into what I was thinking about. I mean, obviously, I'm the last person you want to speak to about Eurorack or modular. But I totally get the fact that you guys who are into it are thinking, where the hell is the CV? Because that's just standard, I would have assumed. But it does seem to me like somebody or some people have sat down and said, let's come up with a synthesizer, and they've, instead of sitting down and designing it and thinking it through, they've almost kind of like designed it whilst they're making it. And then they've probably reached a point like Chris and Andy were saying, like, oh God, yeah, we can't put that in now because we haven't thought about doing that. Oh, well, let's just push that to one side, or let's work around it. And it just seems like it's not been fully thought through before they've gone to production, whether this is a prototype or a pre-production unit, I don't know, but it doesn't seem like it's been fully thought through. And I didn't, to be honest, I wasn't impressed by the sound at all. The individual filter per oscillator, it's been done. It's not unique. I mean, my Polybrute has it. You can pick and choose which filter you want each VCO to go through. It's not a new thing. Obviously, they're quite different machines. It seems like back of a fag packet type thing, and I hope that they listen and maybe improve it. But it would have probably been better as a little desktop synth rather than a Eurorack module.
Well, maybe even talk about what type of sort of oscillators they are, because you've got Oberheim like oscillators, you've got Moog like oscillators, you've got Dave Smith, CEM type. You know what I mean? Like, to talk about what type of oscillators they are, because that most of us synth people do, don't take us for granted. We do actually understand this stuff, and some of us may be more attracted to it if you found out, oh, by the way, it's got the same oscillators as an SH101 or something like that, right? So like the 3340s, something like that would probably help. So I did watch most of the video, but possibly maybe I skipped that part. I'm not sure. So if he has mentioned it, I do apologize, but I didn't pick up on it, and it certainly wasn't in the articles that I read. On your site, Robbie, too, it wasn't on Robin's article. On the Gear News website. So
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, Gear News is a great site. If you haven't actually checked that out, probably a good time for a plug for them, because Robin's on there, Robin Vincent, and Robbie's also on there as well. So let's give a little plug. Sorry, I had to. There you go. So gearnews.com. They have no idea I'm doing this, so it's not sponsored by them or anything like that. But it is definitely it is definitely a cool site. I use it all the time. I especially enjoy Robbie's and Robin's and a few of the other editors that are on there. Are they based in Germany? The guy that owns that?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So it's essentially is a German business. There was a German, so gearnews.de was, I think, the original site, and then they obviously saw the sense in having an English language one to broaden the appeal, but it is very focused around a German organisation with obvious links to various other music technology websites and retailers. So it's great. I mean, we're independent of all of that. There's no, nobody tells us we can't say things, or it's completely independent, completely honest, and they're a lot of fun to work with. And I mean, I was using the site long before I signed on as a freelance, and it continues to be a great source of information. So good stuff.
Awesome. Brilliant. Good little plug. We're going to do a few plugs today, so get ready for them. Okay, next segment time is this one. Hey, some people love this. I'm actually quite amazed that people actually enjoy this. Anyway, first off the ranks is this little baby here. Now, all of the auctions that you see today are rigid edge. No scams this week, unfortunately. I didn't find any. Well, I didn't have time to find any. I should probably correct myself there. But I just thought, hey, the JX3P is a bit of a bargain at the moment. It's probably a little bit of an unsung hero. It's definitely an analog synth that came out after the Jupiter. It was the first sort of cheaper Jupiter type synth. They've gone for the non-knobby version. Let's go to this view because I've actually got a live auction here. We can go check it out. Here we go. So it's a non-knobby synth, right?
It's got the original music stand.
It's got the original music stand and
dead important that.
Is it this one?
Music.
This one's got the original headphones too. So they actually came with the synth, the original headphones, which I thought was an interesting. It's not looking too bad. It looks a bit shabby there.
So
but anyway,
foam's a bit.
yeah. But as you can see, I mean, it was just like a lot of graphics stamped onto the top, and this was the new era of digital controls. Not very many knobs, and hey, a lot of people didn't like the JX3P because of that. They were like, I want my knobs back. But then there was this kind of future movement of people saying, no, I like it because I don't have to tune the sucker. It stays in tune. I can just hit a button and it gets me what I want. So I can go play down the local gig and away I go. So what were these? Mid-80s, I think they were, like 85 around there somewhere, the genre for the JX3P. Who here's got a JX3P, by the way? Nobody.
I have the boutique.
Yeah, we've got the modern equivalents, right? Yeah. Who likes the JX3P sound?
Oh yeah,
I don't mind it.
The sound's good. I have it on the cloud.
Yeah.
It's a good little it's a good little way to get into getting a fairly decent Roland analog sound without obviously having the breadth of control that the earlier models with all the knobs and the sliders gave you. But as Wagoo's pointed out, if you really want to get into this, you need the PG200 programmer as well. The programmer. If you can find that, but that would almost probably double the price because they're even more rare. So
yeah,
I reckon
they have those knockoffs too. You can get the knockoff programmers.
Oh yeah, there's what's that company that do they do a few, don't they?
I forgot.
Retro,
expensive, but
retro kits or something. Retro kits.
I can't remember.
They definitely
do
some.
the TX81Z and a couple.
There's Kiwis.
Yeah, I mean there's
the Kiwi ones.
No,
there's retro kits and there's Kiwis, and I can't think of the other one. There is another one.
I'm sure somebody in the chat will pick it out. But
the boutique that came out, right? 5-10 years ago, whatever it was, the boutique. I reckon Roland missed the trick here. They definitely should have made that so that you could control an original JX3P. Yeah, that. Exactly, Chris.
Yeah.
See all the knobs
on that? Does that still suffer from the 4-voice limitation?
It does, yes.
Oh, yes. That's the bane of my existence. 4 voices.
Get a System 8 and then you'll have an 8-voice JX3P, which didn't even exist.
Or get a Juno X, so you can stick the JX3P model in it, can't you?
You can. Let's keep going because there's some interesting ones here.
Hey Randy, I put a couple in the vMix chat too if you want to do live stuff.
Okay, I've appreciate that, but I actually have heaps.
That's fine.
That's okay. So next one,
couple weird ones.
Yeah. Next one is this one, the Roland SH3. Now this is not exactly a common synth to find. I don't think they sold millions of these. You know what I mean? Like it's not common in that sense. Now another live auction, because I do like this sort of stuff. So we hit this button here, And let's have a look at that. 4,000. This, I do apologise for the Australian dollars. Just halve it. I think it's probably around about that for pounds. Love the carpet.
Yeah,
nice
Andy,
thought.
tell us about the carpet.
Yeah.
That's a shitty one. I don't like that one. Yeah. I have to be a snob sometimes, right? So.
Andy, is it a shag pile? Dum, dum, ch. Yeah, probably not the greatest Roland synthesizer ever. To be fair, quite limited in controls. Organy sounding. I thought these were quite organy sounding, but very early days Roland stuff. Who here has either has or owned or ever played an SH3 in their life?
Never even seen one.
Never seen one, yeah. So if you've got a little bit over £2,000, you can buy one from Philadelphia. There you go.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, next. I do like these things. The CS01.
Oh, yes.
Now, when Yamaha brought out the new Reface series, they actually did model the Reface series on this synth. And they actually did admit to it too, which I thought was interesting. So another live auction. So we'll go to it. Let's get this photo and we can zoom in a little bit. These things are these one of the first mini key synths ever? Casio or these, right? Who was the first? Probably Casio.
Casio tone was even smaller.
Yeah.
The keys on that.
Oh, that'd be an interesting stat, wouldn't it? Who brought the first mini key synth out? It has to be one of these, wouldn't it? It'd be one of these or a Casio. But these things were quite
This
cool.
is
They
a
were-
proper synth.
They had a proper VCO in them. So this is all analog. VCO, VCF.
Actually, word has it actually was digital VCO. It wasn't really an
A
analog,
DCO.
but I see people fighting about it. Yeah.
A DCO? So it's got VCO written on it. Is this one of those marketing ploys, is it?
I think so. I've seen people fighting about it endlessly online, so I don't know.
You can get a strap for these, so you can play them a little bit like a guitar. Yeah. There it is,
There's a
yeah.
great video on YouTube of a Japanese female trio where they're playing. The girls at the back are playing things like GS1s.
Yes,
and
I think I've
big,
seen that. Yeah.
rare. And but the girl up front has got one of these with the breath controller, and my God, she's good on it.
Yeah.
It really is an amazing thing, And they're highly sought after these CSO ones. I'd love to get one, but
Get
never
one
find
with the
at decent
original
price.
bag, even. That's what I'm just looking
Yeah.
at. That's an original bag.
It is.
Just
There's also a video Dave Spears always talks about the French guy doing the breath controller on it.
This is only $400. That is probably a steal, to be honest. So jump on that one, guys. I don't have the $400, but someone else might want to jump on that. That's not bad. That's US too.
Yeah, that's the thing. Import duties, power supply.
Speaking of Casio, I thought this was interesting because I don't
I've never
often
seen
see rack mount Casio gear. Do you know what I mean? It's
That
not
one's
a-
kind of rare. The
it's
rack
not
of
a-
the 8, yeah.
Yeah, it's got a new battery though. So
So I have the 10M rack.
1988 these came out. And they discontinued. It says here in 1991 off 8 Voice of Polyphony, which is half of the VZ1 or VZ10Ms. So this is the VZ range, right? So it's got the... I don't really know a lot about these, to be honest, because I'm not a massive Casio person, and it's not because I don't like them, it's just I haven't really ventured down
It's
that
the
road
next
yet.
step in the phase distortion. It's called IPD, Interactive Phase
IPD,
Distortion.
yeah.
So it's like a super CZ1.
Yeah. Which can be quite interesting in its sounds. Because
It sounds
I
very
do,
DX7 like. It's
I
really
do remember
nice.
the VZ1. Yeah.
Hush now.
Yeah.
So it's got competition.
That may have been a bit of a nightmare to program, though, just saying.
It is. That's why it's also like the DX7.
You might have had to get your famous Casio schoolyard calculator out to program it.
Although I have the VZ1 as well, and it's easier because it has a lot of knobbage.
The VZ1 was definitely a better one. Okay, now this one was sent in by one of our friends of the show, and you guys know him as Berg, and he'd sent this in via Discord, which is, yes, none other than another CS80. These are popping up all the time right now. I just think, I don't know what the hell's going on, but holy schmackers, £90,000. It's getting absolutely ludicrous. Robbie, you're probably sitting on a small gold mine with your Fairlights there too, by the way, but definitely not £90,000 yet though, right?
Yeah. No, long way off of that. But no, that's ridiculous. That's delusional.
Another live auction.
Delusional.
Brand new, made in 1977. How could it be made in 1977? I think they're just generally saying that this was when they made them. I don't like these lists.
Yamaha serial numbers are quite easy to pin down. They do have a formula, and you can actually pin down like a month and a year of manufacture. I don't know about CSs, but certainly on the later stuff, yeah, you can.
That wasn't me.
Grommet in the house. Right.
I think that was
more cheese.
Yeah,
My bad.
Yes.
but we got no cheese, Grommet. Yeah.
Dale.
The moon is made of cheese.
We've forgotten the crackers. Where's Sean? Artarman. They were good, those guys. So that's it for Price Watch. Some interesting ones. We had the JX3P. I definitely picked that to make a point. I think if anyone's after a nice vintage analog synth, the JX3P is probably going to be a sweet spot at the moment to get them. They're still pretty cheap. And geez, that Yamaha CSO1 was cheap, I thought. They are pretty sought after, those things, especially with an original bag. So jump on that. Not so sure about spending £90,000 on a CS80. That is just getting
The amount of
stupid.
times I almost bought a CSO1 and it stopped. I don't know why it stopped, but
Yeah.
there were a couple good opportunities.
Andy, what about you? Are you going to get the VZ8M? Notice how I said Z.
I have a VZ10 and a VZ1, so I'm already set.
Okay, you're good. All right. And the StreamYardies? Any of those for you? Hovering over the buy now button? Shaking their heads.
Not around this time of year.
Too deep in your rack.
Too deep in Eurorack. Got to buy the kids' prezzies. Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Well, that is it for those segments. Now, we do have another segment which you guys have probably been missing, and that is this one. Not that one. Not that one.
Still good though.
This one. Brought to you by Unify from Plugin Guru. This is going to be the last one of the year. Name That Synth. Now, Name That Synth, if you're wondering, if you haven't seen it before, it's a segment where we watch a little video, we listen to what the synth is, and we have to try and guess it before I say time is up. Now, if you are the first person to guess it correctly, you do get one guess, and that's your first guess. If you do, you can have as many guesses as you like, but your first guess is your submission. You do get it correct. You win the copy of Unify from Plugin Guru, which is awesome. There's only one winner, unfortunately, but that is it. Now, I am going to get us all muted so that we can get the video ready and queued up. I think we should do that. Okay, I'm muting everyone. we go, people. Countdown's on. Let the submissions in. There we go. Right, now, I can reveal that the person who sent in this week's Name That Synth is none other than, not him, but him, Chris. Well done, Chris. That was an awesome one. I actually really enjoyed that track. You did good. You did good.
You like that?
I did. I liked it. It's right
I thought
up
I'd
my
end
alley.
the year. I'd end the year on a bit of a banger.
It was a banger. It was good. Now, just so you guys know, Chris multi-tracked that. It is a multi-track. You are allowed to multi-track. I'll talk about how you can enter in a minute, but Chris did multi-track that. But all the sounds are out of this synth. Why don't we reveal, by the way, no more entries. It says time is up, so whoever's putting their entries in after you've missed the boat. Why don't we reveal it? Let's reveal it. Lots of people were on the right track with that, but not that. There you go. It's a Moog sub-fatty. A lot of people were going down the Moog route. It's been a while since we've had a Moog on Name That Synth, but definitely, and I think, Steve, you might be the person. No, you said little fatty, didn't you? Oh, did anyone say sub-fatty?
Yeah.
Who said sub-fatty?
I think Rob said sub 37. I don't know.
No,
Maybe we
that's not
said
a
sub
sub-fatty.
37.
Yeah, no one has said sub-fatty.
Very close to it. Robbie did say sub-fatty first, I think, technically.
And then, where is he? Someone said, Alexandros said, oh, it's the fatty. But he's already had a guess. He said Model 15 at first, and he goes, oops, no. So let's have a quick look at the chats. Guys, you've got to be careful. Don't just like keyboard warriors. Type. Wait, be patient. Be patient.
Dry.
Yes, wait for the video to finish. Wait till the countdown. Then you put your answers in. Wow. Chris, you've done good. Nobody's guessed it. I mean, Alexandros did get it. He did say it's the fatty, but then again, he didn't say it was the sub-fatty. There are a couple of different fatty models, right? There's the little fatty, there's the sub-fatty, there's the slim fatty, which is exactly the same synth as the little fatty. There's also the sub 37, which is also a fatty model. So yeah, Good job. Good job indeed.
I keep stumping him.
Yeah. Anyone want to make a comment on that?
Yeah, I've never seen a sub fatty. I know about them, but I've never seen them in person. So.
They sold really well in Australia, believe it or not. I spoke to someone at Moog a few years ago once, and they said that the sub fatties sold like hotcakes down here in Australia, and I don't know why. Maybe it was a reasonably inexpensive Moog to buy at the time. I'm not sure, but they definitely had there were some limitations with it, right, Chris? But they definitely had a distinct sound. Tell us a little bit about your love affair with the sub fatty. You got it sitting there right to your left.
Yeah, it's right there. I haven't switched it on because otherwise that would have probably given the game away. It's the first proper modern analog that I ever had, ever got. So, and it was the first Moog, and of course at that time I definitely held Moog in the highest regard. It was sort of like the echelon of analog synthesis. So it was. When it came out, it was like, oh my god, there's something we can afford, and it was a bit of a stretch for me at the time, but it wouldn't be now, ironically. But no, it was just one of those things where it was there was nothing else that you could get from Moog that did it. So, and it had enough original features in it that were different from other Moog synths. So it had that has that analog drive circuit, the really mushy kind of drive circuit, which really does some odd stuff. It's the kind of thing you get from guitar pedals. But it was built into the synth, so of course it meant that the patch memory recalled all of that. So it gives the synth kind of a lot of mileage in terms of just the sounds you can recall quite quickly. But of course, the problem with that model is that it was it was still early days of Moog's sort of CPU and software development sort of side of things. So it was a little underdeveloped. And by undeveloped, I mean it only has 16 programs, which is a bit embarrassing if you ask me. It does come with it does have a pretty good VST, which is an editor.
The librarian editor, yeah.
Yeah, the librarian editor is pretty good. I have to admit, though, it had a lot of bugs, and I got really frustrated with the process of them trying to fix them all. And also, they very quickly stopped supporting the DAW I was using, with good reason. It was Cakewalk Sonar. Anyone remember them?
Oh, yeah. I see.
Yes. Yeah. It's still alive, by the way. It's now Cakewalk for BandLab.
Yeah, BandLab, yep.
Yeah, so, and it's still got some good stuff in it. But anyway, I digress. Talking about the Subfatty. I mean, the cool thing about it is that I haven't used it for quite some time, embarrassingly. But part of the reason is, I don't know if you've ever heard of the sticky rubber problem.
Oh, yeah.
The sticky rubber problem struck, and it was sort of at that point that I went, I'm just going to step away and think about that.
You're gross.
The other problem I had, yeah, gross. And the other problem I had is
Arturia had that problem.
Yeah, I also had the problem with one of the oscillator switches stops working.
Yep.
Which is send the board back to them for repair. No thanks. So it fell out of love for a while. But when I switched it back on for this, I knew I was going to do one of the last Name That Synths with this one because it just deserved it. I had fond memories of it. And I used it in one of my first tracks that I put online. It's actually on my YouTube channel, so I think it's the first video on there. And that was kind of a disco number, and that had a lot of Subfatty on it, doing leads and stuff like that. So when I pulled it out to do this one, it was still in tune. It was still functioning. Nothing had gotten worse. I did have to clean off all the goo, but after I'd done that, which wasn't
just
too
on the
hard,
sides?
It's on the side panels, and it's also on the mod wheel and the pitch bend wheel. Yeah, it is a bit sucky.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I found out that if you leave it long enough, it virtually comes off by itself. So I need to use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to get it properly clean, but I actually found that I could get most of it off just by just rubbing it with a cloth really, really hard, and it pretty much came off then. I'll never be using that cloth again, though. So it's held up from that regard in terms of hardware reliability. So it's and it still sounds the same as it still sounds the same as it did before. And the other thing that I think I discovered this when I stopped using it and got interested in other things like modular. I've forgotten how good it does drum sounds, and that's why there's so many drum sounds in that track, and it kind of went in a different direction. In it. Yeah, it went in a different direction to what I expected. I was thinking, I'll make something Christmassy. Didn't happen. Went into full techno god mode. But yeah, no, it's just sometimes the synths tell you what they want to do, and this time it sort of told me it wanted to do that kind of grungy kind of techno. So that's what I ended up doing, and I don't regret it because now I've got quite a few nice little sounds and samples of those sounds that I might be using elsewhere in my tracks. So
nice.
And once again, always good fun to do an NTS. Could you always get something out of it for yourself, not just for everyone watching. So and if everyone likes it as well, that's just a bonus. So
that's awesome, mate. Yep. Really good point, actually. Really good point you make. Is that when you do an NTS or Name That Synth video, you actually kind of rediscover the synth that you are doing it on, because you're forced to actually just use the synth. You're not allowed to use any external effects or anything like that. Now, if you are wondering about Name That Synth and how do I find out more about how do I enter and things like that, well, I've got a link in the chat already there is a website page all about it, so you can go read it. You can have a look at who the giveaway partner is, how to play, how to contribute, even an example contribute video there, and even if you win, there's a winner in registration form on that page as well. So it's definitely something that we are trying to get more and more people other than me and Chris and a few of the other regular people to do. So please do send in. Now, you're going to actually have a couple of weeks up your sleeve if you do feel like doing one, because we're not having a show next week because it's Christmas Eve. And I believe the week after is New Year's Eve, so we probably won't be having a show then either, because I'll be out on the terps. That's for sure. Instead of doing this show, because like right now it's 10:13 p.m. my time, and what will you be doing on New Year's Eve at 10:13 p.m.? Not a synth show. I can give you the tip. So sorry, but yeah, we love doing synth shows, but not on a New Year's Eve. Right, that's awesome. Unfortunately, there was no winner this week, but we do need to give the sponsor a plug, because they are Plugin Guru. And if you do win, I'm really good at English today. If you win Name That Synth, you do get a copy of Unify, and I do want to show you this because it's a pretty cool product. It is a really handy piece of software. In fact, instead of me crapping on about it, I know that there's some people here that have got it already. Now, Robbie, I'm going to pick on you because I know you've got it. And you're a big software person. Tell me about your experience with Unify so far.
Oh, it's great. I knew about it for some while and just thought, I don't know, why would I want this? And then when I was very fortunate enough to be a winner of it on this very show, and got my hands on a copy, it really is a very cool thing. It's and it's so well supported. And they every time a new synth plugin comes out, it seems that they're right on it, and they've got a patch library for it, and they do. It's really good. It breathes new life into a lot of the soft synths that you've already got. If they do libraries for them, and there are lots and lots and lots of free libraries of patches and combinations, and of course the fact that the plugin guru itself, or the Unify, comes with the full TX816 factory preset built in, using DexEd as the sound source, which means you can just go straight on, full on TX816 mode. It sounds massive. It's brilliant. So yeah, it's really good. It's very cool, and well worth getting. Even if you don't win it on the show, go out and buy it. It's not that expensive. So
yeah, it's only $79. It was actually just on sale a couple of weeks ago when they had the sales as such. Now, I did mention a little bit before that we've got through all the segments and we've got a little bit of time up our sleeves, and I had a little bit of a mailbag during the week. So I did show you guys this a little bit earlier, the Doepfer. Probably not a French sound considering it's German. Sorry, Mike. I am absolutely shocking at this today. The Quad VCO. Now, the whole reason why I've got this little sucker, I bought this secondhand. I don't even know if it works because I haven't plugged it in yet. Is over there is a Nifty Keys CV keyboard. It's a polyphonic 4-voice CV keyboard, and it also has MIDI as well. And at the moment, I've got this thing set up. I'm going to show you. I've got it set up like this. So I've got 4 Behringer 110 Roland System 100M clone modules in there, right? And look at the lovely cables. Robbie, you love that, don't you? Cables everywhere. All you have to do is just imagine that's on the inside of the other types of synths that we buy. But the good thing about this is we can play with them in this particular world. We can play with cables, and you don't get electric shocks. Anyway, the whole thing with this is I've enjoyed this. It's got a bit of a Juno 6 type sound, definitely a Roland System 100 sound to it, but definitely because it's a single voice VCO, with each voice having its own filter and its own VCA and its own EG So it definitely has a Juno 6 sound to it. That would probably be my take on it, because the Juno 6 had VCOs, not DCOs, if I remember rightly. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong there. Darren, that's correct, isn't it?
No, DCO.
Juno 6, not Juno 60.
Yeah, Juno 6 DCO.
DCO, was it? Okay, so maybe it's a Jupiter-ish type sound. I'm not sure. Anyway, but it did sound Juno-y to me anyway, so that's the point. The thing goes out of tune like you wouldn't believe. It's a nightmare. So I'm gonna go down the path of Doepfer as a secondary project, and we'll get that running. So that's the first module that came in. I can't show you that other than visually. But the second one that came in during the week was this Erica Synths Black BBD. And you know what I'm like with BBD people. I like my BBDs. Now, I can't remember what I told the type of BBD that was in this. I think it was a weird one. I'm going to have to go back to Discord to remember what I said about this now. Where are we? It was it's got Cool Audio V3102 and V3205 chips in it. So the 4096 stage delay lines of 204.8 milliseconds for those who love the bucket brigade delay nerdiness. One of those chips is a phase clock, so you need to have a phase clock to actually run your bucket brigade delay properly. But the cool thing about this, and there's actually a couple of other modules that Erica Synths do that are based on BBDs as well. There's one that's a little bit better than this even. One thing I like about it is it just gives you so much control over a BBD chip that you don't usually get on a guitar pedal or any other hardware type things. So why don't I play a little sequence and we can have a little knob twiddle for a little bit. Who wants to do that? Anyone says no,
go for it.
slap them.
I'm just going to take a nap.
So the data is just showing the oscillator going into it, right? Now, I don't have my little microphone on me today, so I'm going to have to come back to my chair to talk. But I'm going to go and fiddle with a few knobs, and you guys can see what I can do. There we go, some BBD goodness, people. What do you guys think of that? Sorry, it did have a delay line going through it, but that's, that's what you do. You have delay. You have ping-pongy sort of delays and reverbs going on off of that. What do you guys think of that? It's interesting.
Like an ode to BB Baron. Yeah.
Yeah. It can get actually pretty crazy. I was watching a video. This guy was using one as like an oscillator in a sense, because you can get this thing to self-feedback. So he was self-feeding back this thing The feedback, I've got it probably about, I don't know, what would you say that is? It's not the right thing. Go back. I would say that feedback on the right there would probably be about 60%. So this thing can feed back a lot more. And when it feedbacks, it does all of that. I don't know. I can show you. It goes crazy and it starts farting and the chip runs out of its clock and it just does some really, really cool things. Musically, it's probably not the greatest thing. But the cool thing about it is that once you actually can get some sort of interesting feedback out of it, you can use it as an oscillator and then run that through a filter and run that through any other type of modulation and effects and VCAs and things like that. Chris, you've got a question.
Got two questions. Does it track CV? Does it track pitch when you use it in that mode? Or is it?
It does.
Or is it a bit more of an experimental thing, kind of old school?
It has.
The question is, does it actually track
audio
pitch?
input? It has audio input. It has a CV control for the knobs, so it doesn't track pitch because it technically isn't really a pitch in there. As such.
But you just said you can use it as an oscillator.
Yeah, you could, but then it would be a drone type oscillator, not a pitch type oscillator.
Yeah, I
get
you.
Yeah, so you can see there's a time next to the input, which is the blue cable on the left. There's a time CV control, feedback CV control, and mix CV control.
Gotcha.
You've got two outputs. You've got wet out and you've got a standard out, which is a mix of the input and the output. And up the top, you have input levels, max, mid, and off. So you can kind of overdrive the input. I had it overdriven because I thought it sounded better. It caught the BBD more, if that makes sense. And you've got color, which is a little bit like if you guys think of the small stone phaser pedal with the color switch. So it's kind of a bit like that. It's kind of like a filter. So yeah, I picked up that module pretty cheap. So with the other module, I got two of them for the price that you would buy that one brand new. So I was quite happy. Yeah, which is why I bought it. Do I need a BBD chip? Yeah, I do. I need all the BBD chips.
You need all of them. Collect them all like Pokemon.
Give me all the BBD chips. I currently I do have a few XVIVE chips sitting in here that I haven't put into projects yet. One is the famous Juno Chorus BBD chip, the MN3009. And there's a few others that I wouldn't mind getting my hands on. I was talking about it in Discord during the week. The famous Mogafoga delay that we always joke about in Price Watch, how this pedal is insane how much they want for it now because they don't make them anymore. Moog said it was a really difficult chip to get hold of. Well, XVIV or XVIVE make them. And if you're wondering, the EHX Memory Man pedal also used the same chip, and it's the MN3008 Bucket Brigade delay chip. So if you get your hands on one of those chips from XVIV, you can get them off eBay or wherever. You could probably make a pretty rudimentary Mogafoga delay, and those things are selling for about $4,000 used at the moment, which is insane, right? For a delay pedal, it's just insane what people pay for stuff. But if you know a little bit about electronics, smart for those people. Hey, who likes flanges and choruses and stuff like that? Who's a fan of that sort of modulation type effect? Yeah. Digital or analog?
Any of them.
I got into it through digital, but now I've heard analog, I can't go back. I probably will and find it's not as different as I thought they were, but there's something really nice about the true analog. I've got stuff that's PT266 or whatever it is, that chip. It's a digital chip, but that's got one particular flavor of digital delay. Then you've got the BBD chips that you've talked about, Rants. I've got a few products with those in it. So it's you get all sorts of flavors out of the phaser pedal, the Phase 90. I've got that. That sounds lovely. Yeah,
doesn't it?
it's just I don't something about phasing and that kind of the way the analog pedals roll tops off just seems to work really nice together. You still get the definition of the original source, and you get the kind of the thickness from the phaser. So yeah, I love a good phaser. I use it. I'm in love with phasers at the moment this year. Anyway, might make a New Year's resolution not to be in love with phasers, but go with it.
Yeah, picked up a WMD phaser, Orion phaser, WMD.
Yeah, that's. I saw you got that one. That looks rather tasty.
Yes. Yeah, it's amazing. It's 8-pole.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Every
Pick you one up if you like, Ranzee.
Series. This is actually the vocoder version, but this is a Lisa series of mod effects that has a phaser and a flanger, and they're very clever because they have these DB9 connectors to plug them all together like guitar pedals, and you can have the whole set in a row, and lots of really wild crap on here of modulation and stuff. So it's digital, and again, this is the vocoder, so ignore the name, but they have a one called phase, another one called flange with the PH. Some other really crazy ones, one called Bitterman, which is great for noise effects, and so it's digital, but it's off the rails digital. It sounds incredible, and that's why they fetch a heavy price these days.
Yeah. So going back to what I was saying before about the BBDs, a few chatties like Wagoo was saying he likes it. It's the BBDs are kind of, they give you that infinity options where with the digital it's always going to have to recalculate what it's doing, and you'll get some of those. And I like it too with the digital stuff. If you start changing time, you kind of get that weird sort of re-time effect, which is actually a cool thing. But with the BBDs, you just get this really, really sort of crazy infinity between the knob movements, which is because it's analog. So I do like it. Yeah. In terms of what you can do with this stuff, where it's kind of not forcing you to be a chorus, or it's not forcing you to be a flanger, or if it's not forcing you to be a mini delay, it's the ability to go in between those modes, because a lot of people don't realize, but in the old days you'd buy a chorus pedal in the 80s, it would be a BBD in there and it would be giving you a chorus, and you'd have very little control over it, and it would just be this model chorus, it does this sound, and you're like, oh, I like it, or I don't like it, I don't really have a lot of control over it. Now you've got so much control over this stuff because they're letting us play with it. So I don't know, I find it nerdy and I like it. Robbie looks disinterested.
Not at all.
I think everyone has to at least once have made a chorus and a flanger and a delay with at least a VST that's based on just delay to understand the kind of relationship between all of them. Maybe it's a bit nerdy, but I just found it really fascinating.
When I was doing the little demo before, I was actually going from flanger to chorus to delay. I was actually showing how it did that just with that BBD mode.
And at really short times, you also get, is it Carper Strong?
Carper Strong
synths? Yeah.
So you definitely get that on here as well. I want to show you guys this crazy feedback. It's going to probably completely balk, but it's worth showing you because it just gets really insane. It's worth it. Nothing like a bit of insanity in eurorack. Go over here again. You can't hear me. aliens are invading us. I have stopped the sequencer, by the way. There is literally no input going through that pedal right now. Eurorack module. Just turn off.
Any moment now, the TARDIS is going to materialise, I promise.
Well, that's a good thing about the analog stuff is the feedback. You can make it go so high it gets that huge surge, and you have to quickly turn it down without blowing out your ears or your speakers. And even the old digital ones, like some of the Digitech ones, my friend had one once. We cranked it up. We did a crazy like guitar strum on it, and it was going, and it gets that huge crazy build. And we turned it down, walked away about half an hour, came back, turned it up, sounded just like the old Star Trek series phaser. It's an awesome sound. So
yeah, so a couple of things that I wish this module had. It's a bit like that polyphonic synth that we saw earlier. I wish this had, and they actually do have a bigger one, more expensive. I wish it had an external input for the LFO, so that overrided the LFO, because then I could just put anything I wanted through as the modulation source. That would be nice. I do believe people have modded this, so apparently it's not that hard to do that. And the color switches up the top. I wouldn't mind having some sort of more control over it than actually just really, it's really like a filter thing, anything. But M-Block in chat said that he likes to use his filter after his delays. So I did actually I had a filter on before it, sorry. No, that one was fine. But yeah, anyway. Now, during the week, we get questions in Discord, and I did... there's a couple of things I get asked to do on the show, and I keep notes. I keep my notes, people, because I'm getting old. Gotta read the notes. First one is I thought we'd ask Keith. Is Keith still in the chat? He said he was probably going to be finished work by now. If Keith's in the chat, sing out. Keith asked, question: I'm going to get either the M185. This is the Rick sequencer that we talked about, and we did that whole show on it, right? Or the IntelliGel Metropolis. Which one is better and why? So I'll read exactly what he wrote in Discord. Conundrum time, people. I've chosen to buy an RYK M185. These are Eurorack modules, by the way, Robbie, just for you. Or IntelliGel Metropolis. The price is the same for both. That's something I didn't know, actually.
No, I didn't
Which
know
one would you buy and why? The both is not an option, so don't tell him to buy both. So who here has an RYK M185? I don't think any of us do, so we probably
Native VS
not.
has one. Yeah.
Native VS has one. I don't think I
Actually,
haven't seen Robert.
Unless I got it wrong, the Metropolis does more steps than the 185. You have to get two 185s and chain them to match the Metropolis. I could be wrong about that, but
and don't forget too, there's also the Metropolix as well now. So
I was going to say, is that Metropolix then?
That would probably be even better because it's a 3-sequence. It's two.
But it's more expensive. You chain two 185s. Although they're really nice, so you might be better off with the IntelliGel.
Right. I probably would say the IntelliGel myself. Now,
more settings too, right? More goodies in there.
More settings, more goodies. Go back to the stream that we did the 185 on and look at what I was doing with the IntelliGel. There was it was instant techno. If you want that sort of sound, it was just that whole techno ratchety slides. Everything was there. Darren, you're a good person to ask because you use the 185 sequencer quite a lot.
No, I use the IntelliGel. The 185 is just a software version.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You use it quite a lot, so it's still the same thing, right?
Well, yeah. I'll probably go with the IntelliGel, like Andy was saying. There's just more little bits in there. Or it'd be Metropolix, actually, because can you still get the IntelliGel? Because every time I've looked, it's always been the Metropolix. And not selling the
you can only get the Metropolix now. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah. It's secondhand Metropolis.
Yeah. So is he going? I presume he's on about buying a new one then.
He is here in chat. He said he was here
on a Metropolis. Is he?
This is an interesting comment from Wagoo. He said you can just get the Pro 3 sequencer, but you've got to have a Pro 3, and those synths aren't anywhere near the price that we're talking about. So it's probably not an option, mate. But nice comment. And the reason why Wagoo mentions the Pro 3 sequencer is because it can do
both used units.
Yeah, it can do all that stuff. They're both used units. Okay, cool.
Okay, they're both used. Yeah.
That he's looking at, yeah. So I'd probably still go with the Metropolis myself.
Metropolis too. Yep. Yeah. Although, geez, I would see. This is the thing. Keith's not the same as me. I would actually love to get my hands on an M185, just purely because that's what started it all, right? That's what started this whole conundrum. Because don't forget, I mean, this was System 100.
I think he's looking for usability and more things to do on it, though. Not just for nostalgia reasons.
That is true. Yeah.
Opposite.
Robert actually made his from a kit. He actually had to put it together. He didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Pre-made.
Like I said, I haven't seen Native VS on the chat for a while. Might be during work or something. I'm not sure what he's doing. But yeah, he probably watches it on the replay. Shout out in the comments, Robert, if you watch, and let us know your thoughts as well, because we can always relay them back to Keith. Chris.
If I could just make one comment. We're talking about the 185. This is the Akai 185 we're talking about here, I think it is.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. The two differences I can pick of that might have an impact is that the pots operated rather than slider operated for the pitches. And the other thing I've just noticed is that this one has MIDI. So the Akai one has MIDI capability. I'm not aware that the Metropolis has any MIDI capability. So yeah, I was surprised to find the little jacks on there, but there are MIDI jacks on the Akai, which makes it a bit more if you want to mix it with MIDI.
Yeah, Metropolis doesn't have MIDI. Yeah.
No. So
one quick update too: the RYK they sell a perfect circuit. The older model you can't chain. The new model you can chain. Just so if you're going to buy two, you have to make sure you get the new ones.
Yeah, so Keith, make sure you got the later version if you're thinking of getting that and chaining too. But yeah, I mean, like the thing that I like about the Metropolis is, and not the X, the S, the older one, is that you've got basically it's everything that's on that module is all for that one sequence that you're doing. And there's so many things you can do to it. There's a bit of menu diving if you want to get really nerdy with it, but most things are just there with the switches and the knobs. And I just don't think there's quite as many features on that RYK, which is why Metropolis came to existence, because they said, we love the RYK, but we need more. Let's do this. So in a way, if they're the same price, I think it's a no-brainer, really.
Oh, it's a classic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Metropolis.
Yeah,
it's been on top of people's must-have lists for years.
Yeah, you can pick them up cheap now because a lot of people are flogging them because they want to get the Metropolis. They want to get the newer one. It's a bit like when the Pamela's new workout, they brought out Pamela's Pro workout recently, right? You should have seen how many people listed their Pamela's new workout literally within the day of the announcement. It just went nuts, and everyone was
like, "I hate that dim screen."
Because I hate the screen. Yeah, but just calm down, people. It's actually not that much better. just
you can't use your accessories too. That's the other thing you got to think about. If you sell it, it'd be a while before they come out with all the accessories for it, right?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, like the
expansion
PX, the PX2 is the one I've got. Okay, now Robbie, we had also some news during the week, didn't we? There was some good news during the week. Let's get Robbie and Ranz up. Can we do that? We can do that. Where's Robbie? He is on this particular camera here. That's not him. That's his title. That's him. Okay. 400,000 inputs. Hello, Mr. Robbie. Now, the news during the week was Sample Track has a new firmware update. Have you downloaded it yet?
Yeah, I was beta testing it, so yeah, I've had it for a couple of weeks or so now. It has added the loop recording feature, which is very cool. It's also fixed a number of bugs and issues. One particular that I found where connecting it to a computer. I don't know if it was Mac specific. I think it was just computer specific. But if you ejected the sample track from your computer like you would normally at an external drive, it would sometimes corrupt the SD card, and therefore that would then lock up the sample track unit. So that's now been fixed. Certainly haven't had a reoccurrence of that bug. So yeah, it's just a nice little, incremental update. Added in, a feature that was dropped before launch because there was an issue with it. So rather than stick it out there and say, this isn't quite working properly, they just took the thing out, worked on it, and then have added it back in. So I think that's quite a nice way of doing it. So yeah, it's become, and again, they're always listening, and there's a really good Facebook group, and there's now a Discord server that somebody says unofficial, but it's a whole bunch of people are on there, are sharing ideas, and they all get fed back to you and to Takahiro and all of those people. So yeah, it's onwards and upwards.
Yeah, so Takahiro does the marketing side of stuff, and you
right,
does. Yeah. He's the guy that's doing all the programming. I'm sure he's got a few other people working for him. So that's the information. You can download it off of their website. If you have a sample track, you can go get this now. It's a free update. Of course, it would be a free update.
The manual's been updated as well.
Manual. I was going to go through that in a sec as well. So Sonicware. Let me just show you guys how to get it. Sonicware.jp is the website address, and you just go into support, downloads, and it's literally the firmware is literally the first tab that's open, and you just click on that download link there. So system 1.1.72, and if I go back to that, 1.1.72, yay, firmware updated. Now I haven't had a chance to play yet with the the looper. Have you had a chance to play? I mean, you're beta testing it, so you probably would have.
Yeah, I was kind of beta testing more for the bugs that I'd found, and rather than the feature itself. But I've had a little play with it, and yeah, it's great. It's it's a looping. You can't do overdubs yet, but it's kind of a live looping thing. So it just it's just another feather in its cap, another tool that you can use if you really want to, if that's your sort of thing. So, and I could just see little things like this, and maybe the overdubbing thing will happen. There's been no word on that at the moment, but I can just see all these little things being added on as they figure it out, and we have to remember, I mean, even at full retail price, this is a sub £500 product, and it's not going to have the most grunt under the bonnet as maybe similar boxes like MPCs and so on and so forth. So what a lot of people will be asking for are things that you'll find on more expensive products. It might just be the case that it's not going to be doable, or it's not going to be doable properly. And so rather than do a half-assed job, that they might not do it. But they seem to be there seems to be room for expansion in there. So yeah, it's
they keep attacking
so
it.
I got excited the other day because I got some new USB cables, because what I don't like, if there's one thing I don't like about it, is having the USB socket on the side. Everything else is on the top, or you've got the headphone socket on the bottom, but the USB socket and the SD card, which is no issue at all, but the USB socket is on the side, and so it kind of then means that it takes up a bit more space because you have to leave a bit of room. Well, I just got off Amazon, right-angled USB connectors, which super. So when you put them in, they barely jut out at all. And I had to make sure that I got the ones that were oriented correctly so that the cable went upwards rather than downwards. But I can guarantee these, and they're braided so they don't get all tangled and they won't split. And yeah, very good stuff. So yeah, I'm getting excited about USB cables, me.
Yeah. But speaking of which, there is actually another option that you can get, Robbie. Let me just get my camera up here. So you can get these jobbers. So these are actually just these are just plugs, right? And like I said, you can get two different versions. You can get versions that will go left and versions that will go right, and you can just plug your micro USB into that end of that. so you don't actually need to buy a whole cable. And I use this with my my beat step. So there's that. Now I was going to show you also the new user manual is also on the same page to download. And for those who are interested, because sometimes it's not always clear that the new changes you can see are coloured in this sort of I don't know, what would you call that colour, like a
magenta, isn't it?
Magenta or something, yeah. So you can see the unchanged stuff is in black, and so all the new amendments and addendas are all so that way you can sort of quickly scroll through this and go, right, there's no changes. Oh, hang on, there's a whole bunch of changes here. Do you know what I mean? So I just think that was just a nice touch. So because sometimes
definitely
people don't do that, right? They just say, here's a new updated manual, and you go, right, find it ourselves. 189
you end up going
pages
to the
worth.
release notes. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No, it's good. They're thoughtful.
They are. Now, thankfully, and you guys were sort of alluding to this on the show last week, that they actually have finally put the specs in the back, which I think was a pretty decent oversight on their behalf. So thankfully now you can see the specs of the machine are now in the back. Noticeably missing still is no mention about PPQ2 for the sync, which I think they need to mention, because not everyone is going to know that, and I think it's important to know. So that if you've got a beat step, you can set your beat step to PPQ2, right? Not everyone's going to be using Sonicware stuff. So there you go. So there's a bit of feedback for Sonicware if they're still loitering, which I don't think they are.
Oh, they monitor all channels.
Yes, they have their feelers out. Yes, fantastic. So that was some good news. I thought, like, the update, the loop track is amazing. I know they did originally release it, and they pulled it off because they weren't happy with some code and it was bugging and stuff like that. But look, aside from the overdub, I don't know. It'd be nice. I'm not going to say it's not nice, but I think you can definitely get away with the 10, because you can just have 10 loop tracks on this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Which
is insane, right? I mean, how many times do you need to overdub? You could just keep doing that. That's another way around it. And I think sometimes when you get these things out, there's something like 1,600 of these were made on Kickstarter, right? There's quite a lot. When you get them out in the wild, that's when people will start going, yeah, I've done this with, I'm mucking around with Eurorack with this thing because I'm plugging it through PAMs, and I don't think many people have yet. So they were interested in what I was doing with that. So they pinged messages back to me and said, look, let us know if you have any problems. I think they're a great company. Like, if I was doing that with Akai, I'd hear crickets. And there's nothing against Akai. It's just they're such a big company. Whereas these guys are a boutique company. They're really sort of behind their products, and I just love that. So big kudos for them. Anyone got any questions about the sample track while we're on that topic?
I'm going to say the RC505 needs overdub because it only has 5 tracks. So
there you go. So the 5 tracks is a limitation, right?
But it's also part of the workflow too. That you're supposed to overdub as part of the flow, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, who wants to build a track of just hi-hats and a track of just kick drum? That's kind of boring, right? So you want to keep evolving it.
But hear this. I've done my track of all these loops, and now I want to export it, and guess what? Because I haven't overdubbed any of them, they're all going to be separate stems. Benefit. Yeah. So don't always knock stuff.
Depends what your product is. Your end product makes the difference. So
if you're doing a Jamie Liddell sort of thing where you just you're live and you just that's his style, right? He just overdubs. That's what he does. So I get it, but he wouldn't be buying a sample track. He'd be using an RC505. That's what he'd be using.
Yeah, I mean, sample track really is a song box. It's not a groove box. It's not a drum machine. It's not an RC505 replacement. It's.
Yeah, well, Prometheus in the chat says there's far too few demos on the sample track. I tell you now, I am reluctant to do a demo on YouTube about it yet because I still don't have my feet on it properly yet. I'm still feeling around this thing. So, maybe when I feel more comfortable with it, I do it. I kind of feel like a lot of my demos are very too noob. And if I was to do one now, I'd like it to be a little bit less noob and a little bit more sort of pro. I don't know how Loopop does his stuff. Seriously, that guy is amazing. How quickly he learns gear, right? He definitely has a gift. Anyway, now getting on to the next announcement. I do need to mention this. So Lisa, who's in the chat, Inky the cat, she has asked me to say two things. Number one is, can we all please wish Lisa a happy birthday, because it's her birthday. I think it's tomorrow,
happy birthday,
right?
Lisa.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
And while we are speaking about her birthday, there is this. It's on live on YouTube, youtube.com/c/KDKDJs or KDKDJS if you want to spell it out. So that's the YouTube channel. Now Lisa's, where is she? It's a birthday bash. She's got JC's in there, which is awesome. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff in there. Hardware sounds are cool too. So 6 p.m. on Saturday the 17th of December, which is today. So that starts in a couple of hours for you guys, right? In the UK?
3 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Now, Lisa, you didn't need to remind me. I had it on my little notes. If you don't believe me, it's written here on my notes. And I mentioned, okay. So I've covered all my notes. Beautiful. We've finished everything I need to do. Over to you guys. What do you guys want to talk about? Jeez, how often does that happen? Christmas. We'll talk about Christmas. Put my hat on.
Not really.
I have a stocking stuffer idea.
Grinch. Like my knob?
Oh, yeah.
Want to see a fun stocking stuffer?
All right, show us your stuffer.
I mean, it's not for everybody, but if you're into alternative stuff and noisy stuff, the little Soma Ether 2 is cool. It's got little volume and sensitivity, and it goes around and records all the RF interference noise around you to make noisescapes and fun stuff. And you make your own custom LFOs with it, or noise sources for your modular. Whatever you want to do with it. They're very, very small, as you can see. Like it's 2 AAA batteries, and it's cheap. It's like
my BBD.
Just over $100, I think. Not that much. So
yeah, lovely.
Yeah,
lovely. I don't have
any...
any...
should
Yeah.
Sorry, somebody just mentioned about I think it was Prometheus, about the lack of demo videos of sample track. Sorry, my brain just did a complete brain fart there. If you go to the Sonicware YouTube page 17 minutes ago, there's actually a new demo video of the loop recording function. So there you go. There's videos going up all the time.
Brilliant. I thought there was a fair few. Big thank you to David.
I know Chris has got a lot of work.
Who's sent us a bit of love to the channel. Much appreciated, David. It does cost a fair bit. See, Robbie and I know what it costs to run a YouTube channel. It's not cheap. It is not cheap. And the little bit that you guys provide, it just takes a little bit of the sting off of it. So thank you for that. Much appreciated. You can have a Mickey Mouse show and, it'll just sound terrible, or you can put investment into it, which, I wouldn't even dare to look at how much I've spent on cameras and mics and subscriptions and stuff. It's really, really, really expensive. So, and the same deal goes for Robbie's channel. So if you guys can, when he has his shows on, if you guys can send him some love too, that's, that definitely helps out, because like I said, there's no income. Like Korg don't send me a check if I mention one of their synths, and Akai, and none of these people do, and I don't want them to either, by the way, because I kind of feel that will taint the channel this is. I kind of like this channel to be a free spirit, if that makes sense.
Well, it's independence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the odd module comes in. Feedback modules are, example. Behringer has sent me some stuff over, but I'll let you guys know. I'll say, hey, these guys have sent me this. So let's check it out. But never do any of them ever get to say to me, you must say this and you're not allowed to say that. Because I would say, you're taking it back. You are taking it back. I'm not going to go there.
Happened to me once.
Yeah.
Happened to me once. Yeah. Obviously I won't name names, but a software developer sent me an email, unsolicited, and said, would you like to review my new thing? And I said, yeah, absolutely. How do you want to do it? And he said, I'll send you a copy of the software and some instructions. And I thought he meant, instructions on how to use the thing. Oh no!
Oh,
these
script.
are instructions on what,
Oh, no.
what I must say. Well, not so much a script, but it just like first off, it started at like make sure you mention this and this and this, and that's handy because if they're key selling points or USPs, you want to mention those. But then it was like don't talk about this, don't mention that, blah blah blah, and it literally just instructions on how to make the video. And I sort of thing is with software, once you've got it, you can't you can't sort of send it back and not have it anymore, if that makes sense. But anyway, I just sent the whole lot back and said, I'm sorry, that's not how I work. I'll happily review your product and I'll make my own mind up about it. And never heard from them again and never want to.
Yeah, and you should, like, that's the thing. You same with me. I've had a few occasions like that, and I do not have any remorse in that transaction.
No.
Yeah, because I think it's a bit rich them to ask you in the first place, to be honest.
Yeah, I've forged a huge number of relationships with independent developers right through to big name manufacturers, and each of those relationships has been forged through trust and mutual respect and honesty and integrity. And I'm not prepared to compromise that, whether it's for my own website, whether it's for ProSynth Network, whether it's for Gear News or whatever. Everyone provides stuff to me and just says, here you go, talk about it. And most of the time, it doesn't taint my view of it. The fact that because that's another thing that gets leveled at people like us, is that, oh, well, they've given you something for free, you're bound to talk nicely about it because you've got it for free. No, rubbish. There's stuff I've had that, the JP08 boutique module, Roland UK sent that to me, and I didn't like it because, first of all, it's 4-voice. Second of all, grand noise loop. Third of all, 20mm throw faders. I mean, yes, it sounded nice, but in 4 voices. And so I wrote my review and I said, look, this is nice, but I think it's a bit of a cheat when your instruction manual says, for the full Jupiter 8 experience, why not polychain 2 together? Why not make it 8 voice in the first place? But
it's digital.
It's digital. So, and
make the computer
and
do
actually
it.
They're one of the only manufacturers that even before they saw the review, they said, can we have it back? Because most manufacturers are quite generous and will let you have stuff and then you can keep it. They said, can we have it back, please? And yeah, of course you can. So I packaged it up, published the review, never heard from Roland again.
That's lovely. So a couple of
Somewhere
comments.
there's
Well,
a
that's the thing about Gaz Williams. Gaz Williams, if he doesn't cover something at all, he doesn't like it. He only talks about stuff he likes.
And
He doesn't want to be
that's the
negative.
attitude you have to take.
Yeah.
I think is when you're reviewing stuff, if you really don't like it, speak to them and say, look, I'm having all of these issues or whatever. They might turn around and say, oh great, no, we need that feedback, so let us get you out another version of the firmware or whatever. And you give them a chance, or if they turn around and say, well, that's how it is, then okay, well that's maybe I don't review it. And I think the general public probably have to understand that if people don't talk about the stuff, it's probably, what's the old adage your granny used to say? If you haven't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything.
Don't say it at all. Yeah. Wagoo just mentioned, I thought I was sponsored by Pepsi. For those who don't know me, you guys will probably know, even after watching last week, that I'm a massive Pop Will Eat Itself fan, and I have been ever since the late 80s. So the Pepsi thing is actually more a Pop Will Eat Itself fanboy thing. Now, if you ever know a little bit about them, they literally took the P155 out of all of that sort of monopolizing. They would talk about Big Mac and McDonald's and Coke, and it was all about that. And it was literally, my logo is the same thing. I like it.
It was like the Obama logo too. He had a very Pepsi logo for his platforms.
And if you actually have a look at my logo closely, it's actually a bandana with 2 eyes in it. So it's a bit of the music culture in there. Nice comments coming through from everyone, of course, and I'm just singling a few out because they're lovely things to say. Like Grace, thank you for saying this. The reason why I got to know a lot of these lovely folks, and that warms my heart because I reckon that is the reason why we do this, because we bring people together. And if you find people in the world that like the same stuff as you, it does help because you can bounce ideas off of them. You can become friends with those people. It's awesome. I think that's really important,
isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, big.
Yeah.
If you ever get, I mean, obviously you're in Australia, so it's difficult for you to get to a lot of those kind of big shows. But speaking from experience, walking around Synthfest, when people come up to you and they say, "Hey Rob, love the show," or "Hey Rob, how are you?" And I'm, it's like, "Oh, who are you?" And I don't recognise you. And then they'll say their name, and you'll go, "No, sorry." And then they'll mention their their YouTube handle. So, "Oh my God, it's you! Hello!" And it's just great. And then you all go out for a beer or a curry or something, and you don't know these people, but you do because you've spent all this time online with them, and it's a great And these shows like your show and Jamie and Dom and us and Nick, there's a whole big community, an international community of people that I bet if I walked around any show in Berlin or America, I would bump into people, huge amount of people that know me or I know them from all of that stuff, and it's great. It's really great.
Yeah, it's fun meeting Michelle and Tina at Synthplex because
too, right?
they know your name on the chat, but they don't know your name in real life. Go, "Oh, that's you."
Yeah.
Aren't we supposed to walk around with our handles written on our T-shirts?
I used to have one that had failed Muso on there.
Eminem. Yeah. What's that latest group that says my name is Blurry Face and I care what you think? I like some of that stuff. It's cool. You know how there's that culture of anonymity, right? So yeah, it's some really, really cool things about being on the internet. I think there's some scary things about being on the internet too. I always consciously thinking, "Oh my God, why am I doing this?"
If you get big enough, you get stalkers. Yeah, so
absolutely. Oh, definitely not big enough. That's for sure. I don't do controversial things. That's the thing. That's probably why I'm not big. If we start doing controversial things, and I could name names. I don't want to because it's not. That's not who I am. But there's YouTubers in the synth industry that's their character. They sort of bleed controversy. Yeah. So yeah.
Like synth punk, is that it?
Yeah.
I did, yeah.
I heard an echo somewhere. Yeah. What was I going to say? So Christmas time, I'm a father. I've got kids, so I just my nature is I don't really think about myself this time of the year. I think about my kids and that, but sort of trying to put myself aside here for a second. But if you were to get yourself something for under the tree, what would it be? What would you like to give yourself? I'll start with you, Darren, because I know sometimes have been a bit tough with you. But let's say money wasn't an object. Okay.
A couple more candles.
Santa is going to be generous this year. What would you like to have under the tree?
A better light. A better camera.
A cloth to wipe it.
What? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe some sort of sequencer, maybe more hardware sequencer, more for like playing live type thing. Not decided, but something along those lines, maybe. Still fancy Hydra synth.
Yeah.
Anything else?
So 2023 shopping list, eh?
Yeah, I've got a massive shopping list that didn't come out on 2022. So yeah, I've got a huge shopping list. I'm not sure what I'm going to tick off it, but yeah, probably those two things are the main. That's high up there on the list at the moment. And there's another pedal I've seen that I really fancy. Yeah, that's probably about it at the moment. and some more space.
Yeah. Neighbours, I've just told you, just tell the neighbours to
Or
bugger off.
I've just in fact, actually, I tell her I've got an idea to construct more Meccano work here across the front and at the sides, this side here, to get some potential room for stuff. Doesn't mean I'll get the stuff to put on it, but potential room. So yeah, I think that's my shopping list for a Christmas. I don't know whether it's for this Christmas, some other Christmas, but yes, that's my potential. Oh, and while I'm on, actually, you've probably got sent an email, have you, Rand?
I have.
I think I sent you an email.
You've been spamming me.
Yeah.
I got one too.
Well, I've been spamming you. Yeah. Oh, you've actually got it, Chris.
Yeah, I actually got it this time.
Last time email. Oh yeah,
I know.
The last email kept saying it couldn't send it to you. Don't know why.
Yeah. I'll shoot you another email. I've got a few different ones.
You need to turn the computer on to send emails.
I know. Well, it cost and it had to put PTP and get it off quick. But no, it's just a thank you album for anyone who's bought anything off Bandcamp from me. They'll be getting a free album. So I know quite a few people have already redeemed their album. If you've not got it yet, it'll be on its way this week at some point. So yes,
kind of you.
So that's for everyone who's been kind to buy. I think Robbie, you've bought something as well, haven't you? But I don't even know whether I've got your email on the emailing list.
Oh, I
definitely
check.
But yeah, you'll be getting.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Yeah. I'm sure you bought.
I was just checking my email and thinking, what have I done to upset you? Because I'm clearly left out of the loop.
Just before that scrolls off the screen, another truth from Magoo. So we've just got to quickly get that in before it scrolls off the screen. Thank you.
I've sent Magoo one as well.
Yeah, thank you for that. Keep going, Darren.
Yeah, Robbie, I've not gone for every single person yet, so I've not gone for every single person, so you'll be
in your own time,
as long as I've got you on the mailing list. But if not, you can just whack me email over and I can send it you that way.
Will do.
I asked Robbie what his email address was today. It was like the most friggin' obvious email address in the world. It's a bit like mine. I had a bit of a laugh when he said it to me.
Well, that's what I mean. I can't see on my email address list from Bandcamp, so that's just bizarre.
Yeah, fair enough. Same question. I'm going to go through each of you. So Darren was the guinea pig. Andy, you're next. Same question. Do you want me to repeat it, or do you remember it?
No, I remember. I would say third wave, a Buchla easel, and 2 poly-evolver racks, please.
Third wave, eh?
All very expensive or hard to get.
Yeah, third wave. That's out of the sort of left, isn't it? But definitely cool. Yeah. I like where you're going with that. Kind of digital realms there. Digital realms.
Well, just the poly-evolver is kick-ass because it's analog and digital.
Yeah, true. It's a hybrid, yeah.
And I need expansions. I use mono-evolvers, the polychain as a hack for now. But to have proper racks, there's a guy on YouTube who makes really cool tracks with 2 racks plus a unit. So he's got 12 voices, and it's really, really nice.
It's one of his first after he came back, wasn't it? Well, it was his first.
The Evolver desktop was his first, I think. Yeah.
He did a really good job.
And then he got the mono Evolver, and then he had the poly Evolver, and it's just a great, I mean, if you're not into digital, you probably hate it, but half of it is analog, and it's got wicked effects on there and modulations, and looks cool. So,
definitely worth getting, and it's probably starting to go up in price now too as well. By
the way, Darren's missing his microcosm. Someone stole Darren's microcosm.
Oh, above his head. No, he's probably got it in front of him.
Missing.
I would say.
I think Rave Dave took it.
Yeah, I was right. There it is. Pick it like a hairy nose. There it is. There. Same question to Chris.
Well, I'm still catching up with you guys. I've got a few things on my list which are a bit more affordable, a bit more mundane, but I'm rather craving a bit of polyphony. So I'm wondering about a Vulcan FM2.
Right.
Which I don't have a lot of FM, modern FM here. So
talk to Robbie.
And polyphony, yeah. I know I should be getting an OP6 or something, but space again is a problem. I still quite like the look of the FM2. I do have other vocals.
I'll lend you my Sonic XFM Livin. You can have a play with that for a few weeks if you like. That's got FM coming out of its all orifices. It's a pretty decent FM because one of the things you can do with it, other than it's being a groove box, and that's fun in its own right, but one of the things you can do with it is actually edit FM quite easily in it, which is a tribute to the way they've designed that thing compared to a lot of the other FM stuff that's out there. I mean, even a Vulcan FM is not that editable compared to, the Sonic FM. I mean, a Reface DX is pretty good. I would definitely say that would probably be on the cheaper end, would probably be my choice if I was going down the FM route. Robbie would probably add to this, but the French guys make that FM thing. Forget what it's called now. You've got one, haven't you, Robbie? Yeah.
Essence FM.
Essence.
Just don't comment too much about it. You're gonna strike again.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a different French guy. I love the French, just not him. Anyway, same question to the next person along, which is Robbie.
Ooh. Well, I mean, the OBX8 and the Prophet 10 are definitely on my wish list. I would love one of those. I'd love both of them. The new Synclavier Regen is very interesting, and of course Third Wave. But the big issue is if I was to get even just one of those things, where the bloody hell do I put them? Because I don't really have any space.
You have to put it in the attic above your head or something.
Yeah, and I still keep putting off, and I know that Brad's probably finished his run of them now, but the S2400 is a stunning bit of kit, and every time I watch Alex's videos, I'm like, oh god, yeah, I could really use that. Sounds great. But then I think the Lo-Fi 12 has kind of sated that appetite just a little bit, with that kind of lo-fi. It is kind of I'll say it's a poor man's SP1200, but it kind of is in a way.
Doesn't have 32
so
tracks.
Yeah, one of those would be great. It doesn't. No, that's the thing. But it's only 270 quid. So
that's true.
Every time you bring up the S2400, I feel guilty because I still haven't used mine much. So.
Yeah, I haven't given mine enough.
Give it
love.
to me.
Bad.
Yeah, I haven't given mine enough. And I kind of rubbished it. Yeah, I rubbished it recently too, and I shouldn't.
Yeah.
But anyway, we move on. Who else have we got? We got some people over in StreamYard land. Probably start with Steve actually. Same question for you, Steve. Big smile on your face there.
Yeah, I'm just waiting on the a Momo modular microgrids mutable instruments clone because I have a dabble with the new update, firmware update with the FM stuff in it, and so I've got one of those on order, and
nice.
An Oxy Instruments Oxy One. With the Oxy pipe, so that I can use it in the modular rack. So that's a good hardware sequencer for Darren. Perhaps it does MIDI as well.
I'm looking at it, Steve.
Oh yeah, I'm just sort of going through this Bitbox micro thing as well because it's
the Bitbox, yeah.
It's quite thick, that manual, so
yeah,
a bit of reading material for that. So and then I really want to crack on with doing some of the EMOM stuff in the new year because I keep going to these events and wishing I was up there at the front doing it, but it's just having the confidence, I think.
Nah, just do it. You just got to do it. Don't worry about confidence. Everyone's got the same issues. Nah, just do it. And I say that
everyone's have a purple partner.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
I say that just do it. It is a confidence thing, but you really do just have to it's a bit like the cold turkey sort of syndrome, right? You really just have to just go, nah, I'm just
modular
playing in
does
my
make
studio.
it easy too.
Yeah. I mean, I do find that, but a lot of the stuff that I tend to focus on is the more ambient stuff, and I just feel like a lot of these places are quite uplifting places, and I just don't want to put everyone to sleep.
I absolutely love. I love the ambient stuff, and
it is. It's amazing.
I think in a way some of the doof stuff gets a bit sort of monotonous, right? Yeah. So it's nice to have ambience. Yeah.
You need a break. I mean, to be fair, I've got more out of the modular stuff than I've ever got out of any of the hardware to be fair, I know that might sound a bit odd, but I can just sit there for hours, just finding these little happy accidents and stuff like that. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was watching your show, Ranz, I think, that sort of did that. Did that because you showcased the System 100 stuff, and it just opened up a bunch of doors. I followed Mylar Melodies and lots of different
Alex
people.
He's brilliant.
Yeah.
I
just thought I've got to have that, and it was like before you know it, quids in.
That's it. But at least the thing is, at least you've discovered what you've wanted. Before you didn't find it, and now you have, and that's kind of now you're ready to launch. That's a cool place to be. Really cool place. To be.
I mean,
proud of you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some sort of dark places, as we all have in life and stuff like that, and I ended up having to get rid of a lot of the kit that I had, which is now cost a fortune to buy. So I just started buying the stuff back in and renovating it, restoring it, repairing it in some cases. But it's great.
Oh, it's good. It's a good journey to come back into. Yeah, had a similar one years ago, but it's good. Also, Chobby Man, you're muted, by the way, so just unmute. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just unmuted. I think I was looping.
You're good now.
Of it. Excellent. I haven't thought about it for a few minutes. I think there's a lot of things I want, but I think I'll probably maybe be able to afford at some point in the future. But there's one thing that I want, and I would like to replace. And those that know me will know it's going to be a Mini Mk, simple as that. I've had 3 in my time. I toured with them. I love them to bits. I had to sell it because of desperate times, as we all have from time to time. And I've sworn to myself I will get them, not because of the sound, but they do sound great. There's no denying that. Or because of the price value now. None of that. It's because of the way it makes me play. As somebody who plays them, there was always something about that instrument that made me play differently.
Right.
And I've always loved it for that. And I want to replace it. It was the saddest day of my life, really. One of them, anyway. When I had to sell it. But, we have to do these things sometimes. And I swore that one day I will replace it.
Yeah, and I think that's actually quite admirable, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to bring that love back in to your studio, and who knows where that's going to take you next. Because it's almost like it's been a hole for you, right?
Exactly. By the time, if it ever happens, and I hope it does, where I've moved to now, to bring that back in will be quite interesting.
Yeah. I think, knowing you, because I've watched you play for many years now, I honestly think that your groove is with the Moog gear. That's where you do excel a lot. I mean, not always, but I can see that's your workflow, because you work the Mother 32 like I've seen very few people do, and you do it in a way which impresses people because you use a very low BPM on the sequencer, so there's some really funky things that you do, and that's your your specialty. So the Moog stuff is going to be big for you, I think. Yeah, that's for sure. Brilliant. Well, we had some interesting stuff there, didn't we? Shall I have my turn? I don't even know if I need any more gear. Got too much. I have been thinking about that, actually. Too much gear syndrome. Do I need to move some stuff on? I don't like to move stuff on. I'll tell you which piece of gear. You'll probably be very surprised that I'm actually bringing this up. I am going to get next year, if I can, a Polybrute. Out of all the synths I've been thinking, I mean, there's a lot that I want to get. There's a massive list. We talk about the top 10. It's probably got 100 in it. The Polybrute is one that I think is going to be a little bit more reachable for my budget. And there's a lot of things that synth that's capable of doing that I can see works with my logic and my thinking. And I think watch this space. I think it'll either be a second-hand one. If I can get a second-hand one, I'll try and go that route first. But if I can't, I'll splurge on a brand new one. But I don't think it'll be far away.
You won't regret it. You won't regret it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got one, haven't you, Robbie? I forgot about that.
Yes, fan-flipping-tastic synthesizer, because it sounds. Yeah, it's a 6-voice analog poly. It has that kind of heft to it, but those brute oscillators have a quality that's some people don't like them. Some people think they're a little bit nasally or a little bit. They're not. If once you start digging in, it really becomes a great synth. But it's the playability, and Pope said something about this. The fact that it makes you play in a way. The Mini Mode made him play in a certain way. This will have you playing in a certain way because it's so expressive. It's the aftertouch. It's got last note aftertouch, so it's kind of that halfway house between channel and poly.
Yeah.
You've got the ribbon strip. You've got the Morphe controller. You've got the AB. So each patch is basically 2 patches that you can morph between. It's just so expressive, and it's pretty simple to get into. So you absolutely won't regret it, and I heartily encourage you to fulfill your dream.
Yeah, I mean the other ones on there would be similar to you, Robbie. I also want to get a Prophet, but probably a Prophet 5, not because I'd love a 10, but because I actually feel that I want to have the original 5-voice restrictions that the musicians of the late 70s, early 80s who flew these things out on stage and made massive hits with that lovely brassy sound that the Prophet 5 has, that are synonymous to probably some of my most favourite songs I've ever heard. So that would be the reason why I'd get that. That would probably be, and dare I say it, Darren's probably going to slap me because he doesn't like me saying this, but that would probably be a romantic purchase more than a need. Whereas I feel the Polybrute is more of a need than a romantic.
Why will I be slapping you because it's a romantic purpose?
You don't like people buying romantic stuff.
I do. I've got lots of romantic purchases that I want to buy, but I've got to narrow it down to the ones I can actually use or want and afford. Trust me, I'd have lots of stuff around here.
You're supposed to be the voice of reason here, mate. You could let me down.
Oh, sorry, yes. Damn, Rans. No, you can only buy what you really need.
That's it. Thank you. In chat, same question for you guys, and highlight my name if you want me to bring it up with a little bubble. But is there anything that you guys would love to see under the tree in a nice big fat stocking? It'd have to be a pretty decent. It'd have to be, I'm not even going to say it. Someone's big size XL stocking, that's for sure, to fit a Polybrute or something in there, wouldn't it? Hey, stretch that. Steve is saying to need a WMD phaser. Absolutely, mate. You know me too well. Yeah, I'd love to get that. I mean, phasers, yeah. There's not enough phasers in the world, and I would still buy them if I could. I love my phasers. Yeah, some of them are a bit yucky though. Yeah, the DoD one I had in the 90s was pretty crap. I'm glad I threw that thing in the bin. Do you guys remember those DoD pedals? They were absolutely shocking. Some of those, weren't they?
Have some, yeah. Just for shits and giggles, yeah.
I had the blue magic smoke come out of one, and I was actually quite happy about it. I thought, yes, it's finally died. I can go get something else. JX3D is waiting on StreamYard. Okay.
Better late than never.
Hey, party time on StreamYard.
He's going to tell us what he's waiting for.
I can move him to the front.
Do you know, can I just say I'm feeling distinctly lacking in the facial hair department today.
Look at
many people
Henry's
have got
hair.
such impressive hirsuteness.
Yeah, well,
I'm with you then, Robbie.
He can't grow it on top,
Yeah,
so
you mean
he's got to
Andy.
grow it on the chin instead. That's his. That's why he's got to. Nice to have you on StreamYard there, Henrik. Beautiful to see you. Now, are you jumping on because you want to tell us something, or add to the Christmas under the tree thing?
Thank you. And the only reason I have this is because I have too many Oh damn! I had an echo.
Chins.
Here. Too much
chins.
fat here, so
Yeah.
I have to have this to cover it up.
Oh, it makes you look younger.
Um,
And the guitarist had a ZZ
yeah,
Top at the
chins,
same time.
yeah. Chins.
Yes, keep going. I can just imagine Henrik with a guitar, actually. And, you know,
I'll have
Les Paul
to
sitting there.
put my monitor onto the other computer because I have a big delay on the.
Oh,
other
okay.
screen.
While you sort that out, let us know, and I'll jump back to you. No problem at all.
The great thing about ZZ Top, the drummer, his last name is Beard, and he doesn't have a beard.
Yeah. He's the one without the beard. Those guys were absolute massive TR-808 users. I bet you a lot of you guys didn't know that. And Fairlight, yep. They used the Fairlight in the studio.
Is it Exterminate was almost entirely Fairlight apart from the guitars.
Yeah, the guitars weren't. Yeah.
Billy
Well, the
Gibbons.
TR-808 was playing pretty big in that too. Yeah, great stuff. Bring back memories. Now, Henrik, are you ready to rock and roll yet?
That was a nod.
He's
No,
So we
unmuted.
couldn't hear him.
You are?
I am.
Good. Here we go.
What do you want me to say?
Okay, the question was, if you could get something that you would love to get under the Christmas tree, what would it be?
Oh, if it wasn't if it could be something else than a thing, then it would be no more Christmas. Really hate
I'm with
it.
you with that one.
David's asking you to sing us a song.
But else, what would I want?
Sleep inside my sleeping bag.
A cleaning lady.
That one.
So I shouldn't think about that for the rest of my life.
Well, I think we've.
Was this like Genie? Genie's going to grant
This is a
you
music
3
channel.
wishes.
Isn't it?
Yeah, genius.
The first wish is that you can't wish for infinite wishes. Yeah. Okay. Quite random.
And then I wish my wife didn't want me to be the Santa Claus each Christmas. I hate it.
Well, we are live, aren't we? This is.
I think so.
What's wrong with Santa? He's just giving me a call, and he's not happy about what you just said, Dan.
Any music tech, Henrik, that you fancy?
Yes.
The music
Anything
tech.
synthy related, Henrik. Come on. Try a bit harder.
Okay.
He's been shopping with his
I
wife
think
today.
I'm where I want to be. I don't need more. I need to get it all to work at the same time. And that's the big problem.
Get it all to work
Just
at the
be
same
honest,
time.
you want a
So a new
tamper wolf.
studio. A
right?
new studio.
A new studio, okay. Wow.
Yeah,
in
I'd go with that
castle
one.
or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
A bigger studio. A better
Yeah.
studio.
Room. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that.
10
We'll run
more
with that one.
studios.
Could have Frogmore Cottage.
All right, chatties. Highlight my name, and then tell us what you want under the Christmas tree. I don't think anyone has. By the way, Steve, I am going to hold you to that. If you do
Okay,
come to
no worries.
Australia.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm in Darwin in January, so I'll yeah.
Fantastic. Just for the chatties people, because I want you guys to be part of the show as well. Just sing out. Excuse me. I need to get a drink. What is it that you guys maybe have always wanted and you can't have? And, you know, it could be a CS80. There's one on that auction for £90,000. You might want that. I don't know who's going to buy it for you, but yeah. Lisa said an MC707. Wagoo said that he wants to get the Teenage Engineering. We won't say what he said, but we can read that. I noticed that Heinbach was on Sonic during the week, and he was showing off that new software, and he'd put the teenage engineering things into his software as part of the patch that he created. I thought that was interesting. Grace is saying an Iridium. Yeah, that'd be cool. Waldorf, if Iridium would be a nice synth. I don't know. I still kind of like the other one. The what's it called? No. The wavetable
Quantum.
Quantum. I still kind of like that because
Yeah.
it's got the analog.
Or the Cairo.
No, the Quantum, because it's got the analog filters in it. I'm a big fan of analog filters. David has said he wants an OG EHX Deluxe Memory Man pedal. Well, there you go. An original Deluxe Memory Man. They're actually hard to get. I don't know why. They actually sold like rockets back in the day. Maybe they just ended up in the tip. I'm not sure. But I did mention before that you can get that chip, and you could probably make yourself a pedal not too hard. Most of the functions that are on that pedal are just pin outs of the chip itself. And there's plenty of schematics going around as well. But if that's not your thing, then yeah, find one. Half God Half Beast said he'd love a 202.
Can I just say something?
You can.
Going on what we were saying, we really fancy or really like. I've just thought my mainstay of my music stuff is a new computer, because I'm on the 2015 or was it 2016 Mac Pro, which is not M1 either, and it's still on which I can't remember what. It's not on. I can't remember what OS it's on, but it's on an early OS which I've not updated yet because I don't update anything because I've got all music stuff saved there. So yeah, so I suppose that is probably have to be at the top of my list before any music gear, unless I go hardware and go playing live. So yeah, one of the two.
Computers are an interesting thing, I reckon, to buy at the moment.
I have a few things on my wish list actually, and that's cases for all my gear, so I can pack things away without destroying them while being stored. I really need cases for not only my synthesizers but also the eurorack and stuff like that, because I don't use it every day, and maybe I want to do something completely different.
So you mean like Pelican cases for the eurorack? Is that what you're kind of thinking?
Yeah,
with the foam inserts.
If only, yeah. Or if only I could put a rack door on it, so I could move the rack. It's not heavy, so I could easily move it. But I'm afraid of destroying things when I move it.
They make custom Pelican cases with rails in them, so you can actually make them the actual rack.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I've been invested in a cheap rack, so I should have thought of that before. But yeah.
We I don't know if I'm sure that these things are available all over the world. We get these Pelican cases, right? And they're not. Sometimes they're not called Pelican cases, but that's just kind of like, it's a bit like saying Sharpie when you don't have to buy a Sharpie.
Plastic waterproof cases.
Plastic waterproof case with changeable foams inside. So basically it comes with basically a flat chunk of foam, and they've got all these like gridded, and that you can just literally pull out chunks of foam to shape around what it is that you need, and then you close the lid and that thing's not going anywhere. And they're so cheap now. They're really cheap. So that could be a good thing for like some of the desktop module stuff that we get around. I like these things, desktop module gear that we've got, Electribes and.
In fact, that S2400 came with a great Pelican case, custom Pelican case.
And Andy, you had a good suggestion was it last week about the sample track? It fits into those headphone bags. So these headphones that you buy, the audio technical
they're not
ones.
super padded, but they do protect it, and it's also nondescript. You walk around it, no one knows what it is.
Yeah.
So it's less likely to be stolen. So
now let's go back to what Darren said, because I kind of I kind of felt like he made a point, and I wanted to sort of grab onto it, and we went off a little tangent with Henrik. Buying a new computer, right? I kind of feel right now, I don't know if you guys agree, but there's kind of like this Intel reign is kind of drying up. This the ARM stuff is really taking off, and it could be Apple that's the reason for it. It's probably Apple, but I also think it's the mobile phone industry as well that's probably helped that. Good British company too, by the way. I don't know, like buying a new computer. I mean, Darren, does it have to be an Apple, or are you going to get a Windows? Or what are you going to get? Just out of curiosity.
Well, it'll be a Mac because I do run a PC with Windows 7, which some of the music I write on there just occasionally. But it'll be a Mac. Not going Mac or PC because I do like PC. But Windows 11, I think, is set up for ARM, but it's just the fact that they're not really doing much with the ARM. I think they've released, like Mac did a while back when they released the M1 with the mobile chip in it for all the, from to start writing stuff for the Mac. ARM that was M1 that was coming out. Well, Windows have done that with I forget what it's called now.
Surface.
It's running. It's running the guts of a Surface on an ARM processor in a small box like an Apple Mac Mini.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Not many people are taking it up.
Yeah.
It's not out for the public as such, even though you can buy it. Whereas the Mac one wasn't. It was sent to the software designers and things. But I just can't see it moving on the Windows side at the moment, and I think that's probably where it's going to have to go. I think at some point x86 is going to be, it's going to be going more to the ARM, I think, rather than x86. But at the moment, Windows behind, so yeah, it'll be a Mac because, like I say, I'm not being a Mac fan or anything, but I've done all my stuff on the Mac recently. But I do occasionally jump to a PC, but not often. So yeah.
It's a pretty big decision, to be fair. Like we spend a lot of our lives sitting in front of a PC or a Mac, don't we? We're checking emails.
It's basically the homestay of your music, of most of our music things, isn't it? Really. I know we all look for gear and stuff we want, but at the end of the day, we all sit at this computer, whether we put music back onto the computer or whether we're doing what we're doing now at your show. So the computer is the mainstay of pretty most of us.
I mean, the M1 Mac Mini that I've had now for, I think it's about 2 years now. I've had mine for. It's been fine. And I know there's new M1s out, new Macs out, and they're probably better and they're probably faster. And there's always going to be that, just like there is with cars and synths and everything. That's what capitalism is.
You can also run Linux, like the Linux show we did.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that maybe as an option, Darren, if sometimes money can be a bit tight, maybe you might be able to pick up, an 18-month-old or a 2-year-old Mac Mini M1, one of the original ones.
That's what I'm
that
thinking.
Might be a way
it's
to
like
go.
I definitely need to get at some point new computer next year, because even though this one's running fine, I'm getting issues cropping up here, and obviously software's moving on. I mean, I know I do both. I work outside the box as well as in the box, but as soon as that's my mainstay at the moment, it's do you go a bit hardware for playing live, but then I've got a purple friend that I've got to carry everywhere, or do I just go computer wise and stay in the box for now? I don't know. I've got to work out which way it's going to go, but
you need a Pelican case for your purple
so I might have
friend.
to have more than one thing under the Christmas.
The problem with the laptops is that they generally, typical Apple, I don't know why they've chosen to do this, but they generally are starved from ports, and they've got this USB-C connections in them, and then you have to then buy the accessories to sort of expand them out, and it can be a bit.
It's the fashion crap. It's streamlined. It looks cool. So
can be a bit.
They
annoying.
seem to move,
Well,
don't they?
this is the reason why it's a Mac.
Go, Robbie.
Go on, Robbie.
No, I was just saying, I've got an M1 MacBook Pro with just 2 USB-C ports on it, and yet subsequent versions of the MacBook Pro have added SD card readers back in, which they dropped, and then they come back, and then they drop again, and now they're bringing back in. So I don't know what their thinking is behind their stuff, but it's not. I bought my MacBook Pro based on it was a great price, and I needed to begin that transition, because eventually this iMac will get replaced by either a big, if they do a big iMac with an M processor in, I'll go that way. If not, I'll go Mac Mini, or if I have a windfall, it might be a Mac Studio, because everyone that I know that's got one of those just sings its praises. It's great bits of kit, but they're just not cheap. But I do have to wonder where Windows-based computing is going, because clearly Apple they've really gone for the system on a chip paradigm, and it's working, and it's delivering exceptional speeds, exceptional performance. I put my MacBook Pro on my lap, and it's ice cold all the time. It never gets hot. The battery lasts for days. I mean, it's just such a big step forward, and PCs are still kind of stuck in that world of the x86, and are they going to go system on a chip? They've got to, haven't they, at some point, just to keep up?
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they're stuck in that rut of trying to get the nanometer smaller, because that seems to be the Intel
it's all
thing,
about
right?
that, isn't it?
It's all about the nanometer. And
Plus,
I kind of feel that
this is where
the problem, Darren, is that they're stuck with the x86 architecture. No matter how you cook it, an Intel Core i7 today is still based on x86 architecture. I think they may need to drop it and go somewhere new. That might be what it is. What are you going to say, Darren?
I was just going to say that I think this. I'm not being a Mac fan, but I think this is where Apple have the slight advantage, with everything being all the OS is theirs, the product is theirs. They don't have to. Everything is all designed around their one product, their OS system. Whereas Windows, there's so many different companies are making different machines with different bits in it that have got all talk to each other, and I think that's where it starts to get. That's where Apple have got the advantage, I think. Whereas Windows are like, it's like with the phones, isn't it? On Android, you got everything is all set for one system, and that's it. Android, you've got skins over the top of Android, so they've got to make everything fit to hundreds of phones, whereas Apple just to make it fit for one phone. And I think that's why they've got that slight advantage. And I'm not upping Macs or anything, because I do think they have their issues.
Well, I use both.
And
I have to, though.
What you said there about Android and iOS is, I can relate to that, because the company I work for, the day job, we're big in the mobile space, because we develop digital secure identities that are used on mobile phones, whether it's your Apple Pay or your Apple Wallet type stuff, or other bits. And the development, when I speak to the developers, iOS is just simple. It's just you program it, and it will work, and it will always work on the bulk of the phones that are out there. But with Android, it's such a fragmented user base, and you've got people on so many different types of devices with different versions of the operating system, some of which will support it, some won't support it. It's just so fragmented that it's a real pain. And I guess that's the same when it comes to Mac and Windows, because Apple produce their hardware, they produce the operating system, and the operating system knows exactly the configuration of everyone's hardware and adapts to suit just like that. Whereas Windows, the nature of Windows machines is that you can go out and you can make any kind of machine you want, but will it all work together nice and smoothly? That's another story. And we can all remember those times with conflicts and interrupt requests, all that kind of stuff. Drivers wouldn't work nicely with other drivers, and it was such a pain in the backside. So I just wonder whether they're going to have to consolidate and say, look, this architecture that we've been using for the last 30 odd years has come to the end of its life. And Apple have they've been innovative, and they've said, look, we're moving to this, and they enabled that transition much better than they did the last one, from the PowerPC to Intel chips. You know, the Rosetta 2 is just, you just don't know it's there. It's so good. And you know, within a year or two, pretty much, well, quite a few, you know, installed Macs are going to be running Apple Silicon, and they're just going to be storming away in terms of performance. So
yeah.
Apple tried the clone thing in the 90s. It didn't work out. So.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's the way to go, because Apple is 3 times the price of a PC, and the whole world is not rich people.
But it's an investment. It's an investment, and if you buy an Apple product, it will last you almost 3 times as long. Yeah, you know, I bought my iMac 10 years ago, and it's still absolutely fine today. And that's the thing. But what will happen with PCs is you'll end up, I'll upgrade the memory, and then I'll upgrade the the processor, I'll upgrade the hard drive, and then eventually maybe you'll upgrade the motherboard, and you can sort of keep it going. Whereas with an Apple, you buy it, it lasts. It just does what it does for a good number of years.
So you say, but I have a Mac on work, an old bread case, just a version or 2 after the power PCs, or what they were called. I can't remember. Power Macs.
Yeah, Motorola's. Yep.
Yeah, and it's incredibly slow. It can't be upgraded anymore. Then things won't work right in it. So not everything can be kept for 10 years.
No, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, how old is that? Because when did they go from PowerPC to that? I mean, that's got to be 15, 20 years old.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah. So no computer that's 15 and 20 years old is still. What I'm saying is, this iMac that I'm running here is a late 2013, and here we are in 2022, and it's still my main system. And all I've done is expand the RAM in it, because it had the slots to do that, and that's it. It's been like that ever since. Yeah. Oh, and I put an SSD.
But I still think it's a big problem that it costs 3 times as much as the alternative.
If you balance out the amount of money you pay to keep your PC updating relevant,
the main issue.
I think it's the initial cost that scares people. That's it.
Apple's main thing has been total cost of ownership. Yeah. If you're a newbie, you're not a tech guy at all, you go to a Windows machine. It's gotten better over the years, but it's going to throw you, and you have to get tech support and take it to the shop and do all kinds of weird crap to it. It's going to break, and you're going to mess it up by tinkering with it. Apple's been kind of a closed system and turnkey, and made as simple as possible for the average user for the longest time. That's their strength, and that's why they can charge more. Total cost of ownership.
But one of the things I like about PCs are you can get software which are very advanced, where on Mac it's like they are making the software more and more simple, because they want people to be able to use it without thinking. And
is that a bad thing?
It's another problem. I know. But
well, then you run a VM. You can run Windows VM on your Mac, and you have best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Everything's so fast
and
now.
In some cases, the Windows program that you're running is actually quicker than a Windows version.
And Boot Camp when it was running was great, but Boot Camp isn't supported anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Apple's run Windows better than PCs run Windows.
Yeah, but I do have a MacBook Pro M2, and I do love it. But Apple hasn't won my heart yet. I still love PCs. I think I can do more on PCs. But
we have got Ian.
Very good in this.
Hey, Ian.
Hey, Ian.
Got a vacuum cleaner behind you.
He's getting himself sorted.
Can he? I can't.
Hello. I can't hear anybody. Just let me see if let me sort my settings out.
Let's let him get sorted, guys. He's just joined us. The noise that you can hear in the background is from Ian, if you're wondering.
Somebody's vacuuming.
The reason why Apples are expensive as well is because the way they run their products, that expensive. When you buy something like the iPad Pro, then goes to the next higher up product, while the products that move down then become cheaper. I mean, when I say cheaper, yes, they're still expensive to some people, but that's sort of the way they work. I mean, and yes, you could say that Apple products are expensive, and I do agree with that, because sometimes I think, I'll just wait and save.
And it sounds silly, but you're paying for industrial design as well. They're actually really well designed, made out of fancy materials. You know, you're paying for that. A lot of PCs are cobbled together crap, whether it's Dell or HP or Compaq or the old Compaqs or whatever. I mean, Apples are just nice looking, well fabricated machines, and you know, it's frivolous to some people, but it does make a difference. You know?
Just before we get a lot of hate, they're not perfect.
I use both every day. I've got a Xeon dual Xeon processor tower down here, Dell machine that is a work machine, and I spec'd it for graphically intensive work for my day job, and yet my iMac can keep up with that. You know, the iMac's nearly 10 years old, and this one's only 2 or 3 years old, and that's an i5. And it can keep up with this Xeon thing in certain, obviously there'll be other things that the PC could probably do better, but it's yes, they're more expensive initially, but as Andy said, total cost of ownership is probably about the same.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go to you, Chris, in a sec. Just give me a sec. Just with Ian, I think we're getting feedback through you. Yes, if I enable that channel. I have to mute you, sorry. I just have to mute you. So you may have to use headphones if you've got them.
Use a headset. Yeah.
You need All right, cheers, mate. Right, now, Chris.
I was just going to, for balance, say that I'm a PC guy. And it's not that I don't have any hate for... I was going to say I don't have any hate for Mac stuff, Apple products. I've happily used Apple products, and I've completely agree with the ease of use. The minimum standards, I think, is what Robbie was trying to get at there, which is it was synthetic. The kind of minimum standard of construction and the minimum standard of software is it's standardization. It's basically where Apple products get their edge from, or that's their main kind of play advantage, which is not to be underestimated, but it is also something that can be somewhat avoided. And that's the whole thing about PC, of course, is that you have that wide range of quality and compatibility. That's basically what Apple is avoiding by narrowing down that area of minimum and maximum specification for their software and for their products. That's how they get their advantage. It's a different business model. One thing I'm interested to throw into the mix is, given the way the world's going, kind of China is going to be the ones taking over soon, I think. I rather think that they prefer PCs because they can make them smaller, cheaper, better, etc., etc. So I wonder where things are going to go, because they kind of the China is where things are growing, and it'll be interesting to see.
Aren't we more Taiwan though, because that's where TMC are, which do all the ARM chips as well.
And that's a good point. Yeah, Taiwan is really the center of chip manufacture, isn't it? That was what was the chip crisis. Yeah, you got a point there.
China.
No, it was just positive.
Trying to get their chips from Taiwan. So
we've got Ian back. Let's say a quick hello to Ian before. That sounds better, mate. That's much better.
Oh, good. Thank. Yeah, sorry about that. Welcome to London.
Oh, is that where you are?
Yeah. And happy Christmas, everybody.
Yes, happy
Merry
Christmas to
Christmas,
you as
Ian.
well, mate.
Same to you.
Yeah.
Yep. And to your
Hello,
lovely
Ian.
wife.
Oh yeah. We've just been wandering around the streets of London, looking at very trendy shops, but and had a nice lunch. But I thought I'd pop in and while I had the opportunity.
Oh, it's nice to have you on. You didn't have to come on because I knew you were busy today, but it's lovely that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to come on and say hello to us. Appreciate it.
Most of the hard work's done because we were moving yesterday for our youngest son and his partner. So, like I say, all the hard work's done, and we've just been chilling this morning, which has been quite nice, really.
Fantastic. So, we were asking everyone before, what would you like to see for yourself under the tree?
Oof, there's a question. What would I like to see for myself? I think I've already done it this Christmas. I think buying the organelle, which I did buy for myself, that was my Christmas present to myself.
Ah, that's lovely.
I know I bought it about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I don't think at the moment in time there's anything else that I would actually prefer. So that was it for me, really, for this year. Yeah. Although, actually, I've just thought of something. The only other thing I would want, and it would be really greedy, would be a mini freak.
Yeah. Oh, that is a good point. I've been looking at that.
A mini freak and a microcosm.
Sort of price. Oh. Darren, I know. You see, this is the problem, isn't
Darren's
it?
going to hold his up again.
Yeah, no, but actually, I do want a microcosm. So,
Ian, if you want me to lend me my microcosm, you can do.
Oh, you're a star.
Robbie was just playing his micro freak, I think.
Mini freak.
Mini freak.
Mini freak. Yeah. Oh, thank you. We'll sort that out sometime in the new year, Darren. Thank you very much, mate. I'd love to have a proper
pop over
golden
and
one.
you can have it for a while.
That'd be great. That'd be brilliant.
Fantastic. So I mean,
you're all right.
We were getting deep into this discussion of computers, and a lot of us synth people, we kind of we push it aside, the computer discussion, and I kind of feel like we can't really, because it's a big part of being a synth person. A computer is really, really important, and I think it doesn't really matter if you're an Apple person or you're a Windows person, or even if you're a Linux person. It doesn't really matter. If that's what floats your boat and that's what makes you happy, go with it, is what I say. Because Bigwig can run on Linux. It's pretty. I don't think it's quite as full featured as the Apple or the Windows version. I think it's slightly cut back, but you probably wouldn't even notice. I tried to do the Linux stuff a few shows ago. It was a bit of a train wreck. I've kept persevering with it. I've got a laptop here that is an old Windows laptop that I used to use for work, and it's got a Core i7 on it. It's pretty old. It's probably 5 years old or something. And I've just completely lobotomized it and put Debian on there. And I'm a Debian fan. I like Debian as a Linux distro. And today we went and bought a little. I wanted to get a little sort of very small form factor PC that I want to do some projects on, and so I got a secondhand used, if you want to call it that, Dell Opticon, I think they're called. So they're really small form factor PCs, and they've got Intel processors in them. They're very quiet. You don't hear the fans on them or anything like that. And 8 gig of RAM, 16 gig of RAM. They've got M.2 drives in them. They're just really, really cool. And they come with Windows 11 on there. You don't have to use that. So I'm going to be putting Linux on that again. And you can't see it, but just there behind the, I'll go to this view. You can see a monitor in the back of that cabinet there. And I'm going to be putting the vMix stream actually sends out an NDI stream over the network, and that little box can pick up the NDI stream and display it on that monitor in the background. And it's just a little cool thing that I can do on it, that it doesn't need anything special to do. But I'll be running things like virtual machines on there and stuff like that, which can just be backed up, and I don't have to worry about the hardware failing. So you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like computers, they are very, very handy for many, many reasons. And like I said before, it's a very personal thing. Like Darren probably will end up getting an Apple because I know that's what he mainly uses. Whereas Chris, you'll probably get your next purchase will probably be a PC. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get what you get. The tool that works
to be
for you,
fair,
it's a PC or a Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, not only does Windows pay my bills with desktops and servers, but I mean, some of the best software I used back in the days when I was mostly software, couldn't afford hardware, was all the VSTs on Windows. So they had the best selection of Windows music tools. Mac didn't have that much. It had Pro Tools and a couple other things.
Yeah.
So VST debuted on the PC,
PC,
and there was killer stuff for years until Mac caught up.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, my first music computer was a Windows computer running Cakewalk, as you mentioned before, Chris.
Yeah, I used that for years. I used Windows. I moved over to Mac probably about 10 years ago now, and I'm certainly no Apple fanboy. And you know, you do pay the Apple tax, but I have to say that generally, the Macs that I've owned have lasted so much longer than Windows machines.
Yeah, that's what Robbie's been saying.
You know.
Yeah. It is, the word investment is a good word, isn't it? It is an investment. Yeah.
TOC
yeah, you
and
invest
ROI.
in a Mac, you buy a PC.
Yeah. And Henrik, you know, you're not wrong with what you're saying. We're not saying that you're wrong. With your opinion, you've got an experience that you find that you think that, you know, the PC is better in its flexibility, and you're right in a lot of things that you say. So, like I said, it's a very personal thing that we're talking about here. So everyone is right in their own opinions. So
yeah, and I totally agree with all of you. I just often see people. No, before I got the Mac, I had the feeling of Mac people were people who, not all, but that there was a part of the Mac people who were people who knew nothing about computers. I felt that Mac was meant to take care of those people who knew nothing, and therefore Mac was a stable thing. It was not a thing where they needed any knowledge to make it work. That's how I have always thought about Mac, and it's not negative, but I do like my new Mac. I do, but I will never be one of those believers who do that.
You're having inner battles, I feel. Yeah. You're having some struggles.
Look, Henrik, I agree with you, because sometimes some Mac owners are just hands in their ears thinking, why can't it just work like a PC at times?
That's true.
I don't think I've ever thought that.
Well, I mentioned it before about ports. Let's talk about FireWire, right? Didn't they dump that like a sack of spuds? Eh?
Yeah,
I love FireWire too.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah,
the best thing about FireWire was that we had music audio coming into our computers, and it didn't interrupt anything that was plugged into USB. It was a completely different communication system that the operating system and the CPU was talking
cameras
to.
and all that stuff.
Yeah,
video.
So it was a great thing, and then they dumped it, and like, I mean, there's reasons, you know, hashtag reasons, right? But
also, Lady Aptitude made a great point in the chat. At my last company, it was a startup, and we had some field guys, but mostly like 80 Macs and PCs on site, and I was the only IT guy, basically running about half Mac, half PC, and guess where most of my time was spent? Pretty much all on the PC side. The Macs either just worked or the people knew how to do shit themselves.
Oh,
you know?
I mean, I built this house that I live in because of the money that I've earned from tech supporting people on Windows computers. So, you know, if you're wondering.
Job security.
Yeah. But, you know.
So Ranzee's PC.
Well, I'm not. I'm not. I'm actually a lover of all computers. I'm a bit of a nerd. You guys know that about me.
Yeah.
So I like.
Whatever helps you process.
I like to dabble.
Exactly.
What works? Probably that might be a bit of kryptonite for me too, because I'm probably becoming a jack of all trades and a master of none, if that makes sense.
It's just like analog and digital. You want to have more choices, right? So.
Yeah.
If you have all analog synths, it's pretty boring, actually.
Have any of you seen the new Commodore 64, which is a PC inside with its own operating system?
Yeah,
it looks really, really nice.
Yeah, I've got one.
The latest. You got one? Okay.
Yeah. It's they first started off with this little mini version, like it was about that size. And then they brought out the full size one with the keyboard that actually works.
I'm not sure that's the same company. This one is an English company. They just started the Kickstarter about 6 months ago, where you could get the first models of this one.
I'll grab it for next time we're on stream.
I think they are called retro computers or something like that.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one I've got.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, the first one that they brought out, which was like a clone of a Commodore 64, was just this gimmicky little miniature thing that it worked. You could play old Commodore 64 games on it, but it wasn't until they actually brought out this full-size bread bin, the keyboard actually worked. It gave you that retro experience. But like you said, inside it's a friggin' PC, right?
Yeah.
Or a Raspberry Pi, or whatever it is, or a Teensy, or whatever's in it, right? I can't remember what's in it, to be honest. But it's pretty cool. You can get Super NES, and you can get Atari 2600s. There's all sorts of cool stuff you can get there.
Yeah. But what I'd like to see if they have made some emulations in that computer, that Commodore 64, and I'm looking forward to see if they can get some DAWs running under the Amiga emulation. It's not completely ready yet at it, and it may not be because they are not allowed to use the Kickstart discs.
Yeah, because of the licensing. Yep, that might be the reason. Because someone still owns that, right?
Yeah, but I remember when I was on Amiga, I used the software called I used a lot KCS, and my preferred one was Music X. It was fantastic.
You
could make tracks with samples and tracks with MIDI, and it was very good. Very good.
I've still got
I hope
Music X.
they bring that through. Then I'll buy that computer for sure.
Yeah, my 1200 runs Music X like a dream.
Yeah.
My favorite Amiga is the 1200, by the way. I know you can get faster ones and better ones, but that was the I honestly liked the look of it, the form factor, everything about it. It was my favorite Amiga. I started off with a 500. I think most people did who had Amigas, right? And I was just disappointed that you couldn't sit a monitor on the back, and that thing had this big, flat thing that just extruded out, and you couldn't sit a monitor on it because they said in the manual it's not strong enough to hold up the weight of a CRT.
It was like an Apple II.
Yeah, same as the Apple II. And so I quickly, moved on from it, and you couldn't buy 1200s here in Australia. They didn't sell them. I don't know what it was. They were just unavailable, and if you wanted to get one, you had to import them from the UK. And I never got one when I was, when Amigas were the thing, right? So I never owned one. But I bought one about 5 years ago, and it is without a doubt my most favorite Amiga that ever came out. It's a beautiful computer. It was probably at the peak of Commodore's engineering and innovation, I think, when they got to that stage. Because an Amiga is basically it's 50% Atari and 50% Commodore, right? That's what an Amiga is. Because all the people that worked for Atari went and started working for Commodore. And yeah, it's a great story. Great story in those days.
Yeah.
Even Nolan Bushnell, right? He was on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. What were they were talking about Jack the other day, the Commodore guy. Because he died, obviously. But
Jack Tramiel.
Yeah, he was a I didn't know this about him, but he was something to do with was he himself a Holocaust victim? I think he might have been himself. And so he went in the early 2000s. He went and visited Poland, and went to some of the the Holocaust sites, and it was quite a big thing. I actually didn't know about that about him. He's a pretty crazy guy. But yeah,
I was just going to say, I'm afraid I was an Amstrad CPC 464 man.
Oh, I had a choice. I had a choice.
Yeah, strangely enough, I was just thinking the other day, because every time we get to Christmas, I get that nostalgic feeling of, oh, this is when I get to play computer games endlessly.
Yeah,
because that was when it was.
That's what we did.
School was out, and I just remember things like boulders and spin dizzy and
go around to your mate's house with a bunch of discs, right? That's what you did.
Was it tape for me? No, it was disc. Yes, discs. Yeah,
well,
you had the disc drive.
We did do tapes before that, but we tend to sort of froth at the mouth and shiver when we talk about waiting for those tapes to load.
Oh, and if there's an error and I have to start again.
I love the cartridge. I knew back in the day.
Put a YouTube link in the chat with Jack Tramiel, an interview with him from the old days.
Okay, cool. Go for it. Can you do it? I'll just op you.
I can't. You have to be an admin to post a link.
Where are you? Just type something in chat and I'll op you.
It's in the vMix chat.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube link.
I don't have the vMix chat open.
One above. You just
give me a second.
It's an old.
I remember my old man decided
Chronicles.
to upgrade from a Commodore 64 to an Amstrad, and I was
better not be porn, Andy.
No, it's YouTube.
I was so happy when he did because I got the Commodore. I was just saying, I remember when my old man decided to upgrade from his Commodore 64 to an Amstrad, and there's part of me going, what the hell are you doing? And then the other part of me saying, shut up, because you'll get the Commodore 64. So, yeah, that was... because they used those horrible quick discs as well, didn't they? Those Amstrads.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Cartridges, right? In the day, when I was a kid, it would have been, 13, 12, something like that, when I had a Commodore 64. I remember putting cartridges in, and you turn the thing on, and instantly the game was on the screen. And then, you go to your mate's house, you'd have to tape cassettes with you, and this is, before discs came around. And I just remember that, I just thought to myself, there's something weird here. This is not right. Like, how can I just chuck a cartridge in and it goes like that? But these other games, I have to stick on a cassette and fast forward to the counter number that I've written in my little book here, and then press play, and then wait 6 hours and go and have coffees and things like that.
That was the thing, wasn't it?
It was stupid.
When I was a kid...
Oh, God, it's crashed halfway through.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we kicked off with either... We had games consoles that were just like... Everything was built in, so you maybe had 10 games and you turned the dial to select the game. Pong, or there was... Pong doubles, then there was some other variation. It was basically 10 versions of Pong. And then the Atari 2600 came out with cartridges, and you turned it on, the game was there. And then the advancement from that was a Commodore 64 or a Spectrum or something, where it was tape based. And now we're sitting there pressing play, and we're having to wait 10 minutes for the bloody thing to load, and then it doesn't load, and then you get paranoid about, maybe I stood too close to it, maybe I made too much noise next to it, maybe it's too close to the television set or something stupid. So we kind of went backwards in terms of installing our software, and then we, of course, gaming ended up going back to the cartridge, and computers obviously got better with discs and stuff. So
yeah, but still, it still baffles me to this day. Yeah,
I used to sell this sort of stuff. So I sold Commodore 64s, and I used to own an Atari 400, which I absolutely loved. I never liked the Spectrum because it was each key had to have at least 3 different functions. But the Commodore 64 was a great machine.
Oh yeah, it's a classic, wasn't it?
Was, yeah.
The thing that used to impress me was that if you were a developer for the Commodore 64, you had literally a real tiny little sort of finite amount of memory stack that you could play with, and you had to fit your entire code in that, and there were so many little nifty little tricks and things that you could do to sort of, get a game that needed more memory to sort of work, and it was just, and like the SID chip, they only had 3 voices, so they used to play notes really fast at a fast BPM so that it sounded like it had more notes. Yeah, there's all these things, and we kind of now look back sort of romantically about this. That's the chip tune sound, right?
And if you try to tell the young folk of today that, they won't believe you.
My first sequencer was a Commodore 64. It was electro sound, and it was a 3-channel sequencer because you had the SID chip, so you had 3 channels. Yep. And you got very adept at understanding. If you wanted to play a chord, you could only play a 3-note chord. But of course, if you also had a drum track going, then you had to know, which note am I going to drop out of the chord because I need to get the kick in there as well. So it was all about like thinking about how you layer together these sounds so that when you play the whole thing back, it doesn't sound odd that maybe that's only 2 notes of the chord and you've had to drop 1 note out to get a snare in or something. But it was great fun, and I remember doing a cover version, I call it a cover version, of Depeche Mode Stripped on this. And I thought it was the best thing ever. But right now I'd be thinking, God, it was awful. But I've still got the actual box and the cassette, and I took it up to this show in Cambridge that happens every year called Synthesized, and they got their Commodore 64 and we loaded it up and was playing around with it. And yes, there was a strong tinge of nostalgia, but there was an even bigger whiff of, oh my God, this was awful. So yeah,
I think Wigoose flexing his how many SID chips have I got in the chat room. Just a comment that was made by David Hassel there. The SID chip is probably responsible for more synth fans than any other computer chip ever. Ocean Loaders by Martin Galway, other stuff. Oh yeah, Martin Galway. There was Chris Holbeck. There was Rob Hubbard, the guy that did the Commando. So yeah, definitely cool stuff there. Yes. Now, probably should wrap the show up, guys. I've already turned into a pumpkin, and we probably need to have some wee breaks and some drink breaks and all that sort of stuff. 3 hours and 38 minutes. Geez, that's been a long stream. Hey, that's a pretty decent amount of synth chat. Good to have everyone though. Very smallish boutique show this is, so I appreciate everyone coming on and being part of it. It's beautiful seeing all the comments flowing by in the chat. Merry Christmas and season's greetings, and whatever it is that if you don't like that sort of stuff, whatever it is that you celebrate, just be with your family, show some love. It's a good time of the year to sort of think about inwardsly that sort of stuff. So best of luck for everyone. Now, I'm going to say cheerio to you guys probably until the new year, because, like I said, Christmas Eve is next week, and then the following week is New Year's Eve, and there's no way I'm going to be I'll have my testicles chopped off by the wife if I try and do a show on those nights. So, good luck with that. So it'll be January, the new year, and if my calendar is correct on this Windows PC, people, it says to me that it's the 7th of January will be the next show. So there you go. That seems like a mile away, doesn't it? Seems like an eternity. Yeah, but anyway,
withdrawal symptoms.
I will. Yeah, I'll probably have to sneak something in. Big thank you to the StreamYardies, Chob and Henrik and Ian and Steve. Nice to have you guys. Merry Christmas to you and yours for the festive
Merry
season.
Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year. I'll probably
Yeah,
chat to you
yeah.
guys on social media, no doubt. And also, to the regulars on the show, Darren, been around since almost day dot. Big
Day one.
Merry
No, not
Christmas
day
to you and your lovely lady there. Also to
And to you, Rans.
Andy and Chris and Robbie as well. Merry Christmas to you guys. All the best for
Same back
for
to you
the
and
new
everyone.
year. Yeah, stay safe.
You
Stay
too.
Keep
safe,
warm.
yeah.
Keep warm in your part of the world.
Yeah.
I'll be
I hope
definitely
you get
warm
some
here.
surprise under your Christmas tree that you really wanted.
We're probably up for another 40-degree day on Christmas Day for you and me, Rance.
Oh, beautiful.
Lovely.
Yes. I just go to this thing on the wall that says Dakin. It's got Dakin written on it, and I
Yeah.
just press this button, and it keeps the house at 24 degrees.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Turn it on at 11 a.m.
Minus 8 for a full
previous
week.
night, yeah.
Yes. Yes. Anyone want to make a quick final announcement before we finish off? Darren, you said you had a new album. Quick announcement about that.
It's not a new album. Well, it is. Can you see that? Far Above the Clouds and Away with the Fairies. Yes. That's for anyone who's bought any of my music. So you'll be at some point over. Quite a lot of you have got it, so you can be. I think IP's got it. Chris down here's just got it. Ranz's got it. So yeah, everyone who's paid for any of my music over the past time I've had Bandcamp will be getting this album, and I think you'll quite like it. It's interesting. So yeah, so that'll be coming to you people. And everyone else, have a great Christmas, and I hope you get something under the Christmas tree, even if it's just a candle.
Send them to Darren. Thanks, Darren. Lovely of you to say. Quick shout out from you, Andy, before we go.
Hey, great. Hey, fun thing about next week, Hardware Jams is doing the, like we did last year, the Secret Santa thing. So you get randomly assigned somebody in the group, and you have to make a jam like they make it, their style, which is a fun challenge. So
Fantastic. I've made
forward to
you moderator in the YouTube chat too, by the way.
I know. Yeah, I already posted a link. Thank you. That makes it easier. Thank you.
Yeah, easy.
I'll be nice with it.
All the best to you, mate, and your wonderful girlfriend over the festive season. Hope you get that third wave, whatever it's called.
Try to stay warm here. It's
wave?
damn
Yeah.
cold lately. We've got a cold snap. So.
Okay. Do you get
Surprised
snow
can't
your
see my
way?
breath. It's freezing in the studio here.
Do you get snow?
No, we get in the mountains nearby. The local, like Mount Hamilton, where the Lick Observatory is. You get a little patch of snow here and there.
Yeah.
But not in the lowlands here. It's not cold enough.
Yeah, fair enough.
So.
Awesome.
We've had
Beautiful.
snow.
Robbie, sorry, Chris is next. Sorry. Chris.
Oh, Robbie's changed a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does.
No.
He's changed his shirt and everything.
No, everyone. I hope everyone has a Merry Christmas or whatever denomination they prefer to practice around this time of the year. It's been a big year for me because I met you guys. So I've never done streaming before or anything like that. So it's come out of my shell a bit. So it's quite
you were
good
a
fun.
virgin.
I was, yes. No, but not anymore. Not anymore. I now know where all the secret sauce is going. Anyway, no, just everyone remember to stay safe and connect with people. I think it's important, even if this is a bit of a torrid time of the year for you. It's still important to connect with people. Otherwise, you can get left out in the cold a bit. So, everyone look after their mental health. That's all pretty much all I need to say. I hope everyone gets some good gifties underneath the tree.
Beautiful.
I know I've told a lot of my my rallies, introduced them to the world of gift cards for modular synthesizer stores. So I think it might go okay for me. Just a hint for everyone else.
Yeah. That's a great idea, actually. Awesome. Thanks for being on too, Chris. Okay, and now Robbie. That's the right Robbie this time.
I can only echo everyone else's sentiments. I hope everyone has a fantastic week or two, a couple of weeks. We'll be around on ProSynth Network on the 23rd and the 30th because they're kind of the Eve-Eves. So we won't get angry wives or partners. berating us for taking time off. So yeah, we'll have there'll be shows. I don't know. I think we're going to do like a best of on the 30th of the year end. Next week is just going to be a bit of a sort of laid back, chilling kind of thing, and then at the beginning of the following year we'll be doing our predictions for 2023. And I was going through the predictions of 2022, and it's amazing how accurate some of them were and how way off the mark others were. So that'll be interesting to look back on those ones. But yeah, I shall be I finish work next Thursday and got 11 or 12 days off, and I shall just be sat here getting fatter and drunker. Yeah.
But it's analog fat, so you're all right.
Yeah, you can have the
absolutely.
the fat filter sounds. Yeah, that's what you can have. Awesome. And the gents in StreamYard, same again. Anyone want to make a quick announcement, Ian, yourself?
Just happy Christmas to everybody, and don't forget you can download my Christmas album for free.
Fantastic.
From Bandcamp.
Yes.
Ian Jacob.
Play it in your car. Play it on your your phone. Yep. Beautiful. Henrik, yourself?
Yeah. I just want to follow up on my OP6. It's working now. I got a new power supply, and I'm actually happy I'm on after Robbie. Because, I thought it would make me feel better about FM. That was a thought. Yeah, it was a thought.
Yeah.
It's great at effects and bells. Yeah, that's about
doorbells. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I might disagree with you there, Henrik. Actually.
Hang on. Whoops, wrong button. What am I doing that for?
And then I want to say, a short thing about my latest album, the Electromare. It's pretty dark, and I actually, after releasing it, I was surprised how dark it was because I didn't listen to it for a month or so, and then I tried to remaster everything and make it more bright, but it was not possible. The mixes were dark from the start, and I've decided it has to be dark because brightness will come in the spring. So let's wait for that.
So listen to it with the lights off, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And finally, I would say, god jul og godt nytår til alle jer her på YouTube. And it means Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you here on YouTube. It's how we say it here in Denmark.
Oh,
if we beautiful. Talk to people on YouTube.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay.
Same. Right back at you.
Nice
same with you guys. Thanks, Steve and Chob as well for coming on. Merry Christmas, guys. Anything you guys want to add before we finish up?
Yeah, a big thanks to Darren for that album. It sounds awesome, mate. Really love it.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to like it. Yeah,
no worries.
Bit of doodle.
No worries. Yeah. Happy Christmas to everyone.
Yeah, you too, mate. And Chobby?
Yeah, just the same from me. Wish everybody a happy season, new year, etc., etc. Stay safe, look after yourselves, look after your family. Always important at this time of year. And for those who think I possibly didn't indulge in the Christmas.
Christmas
You've done well, champ.
Thanks for having us on, Rant.
Mate, it's my pleasure, and it's an honour to have you on too. Right. We're going to say goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye. See you next year.
Bye.
Goodbye.
All the best.
Bye, everybody. Stay warm. Have fun.